Testing, testing. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. I can't believe this is finally happening. Welcome, everybody, to the final episode of Suzerain. This is an amazing accomplishment for me. I just want to thank absolutely everybody who has been supporting these streams, who's talked to me over Discord, who's been liking, everyone who's subscribed. Thank you all so much. I'm so happy that this series has actually gotten to this point and that we're about to finish the game. This is incredibly exciting for me. I never would have expected the support that I've received for these streams and for this game and for doing this at all. So to everybody who's supported me, thank you. Thank you. It really means the world to me. And I'm so excited because this is going to be an insane episode because currently the anti-corruption police are investigating me, the oligarchs are conspiring against me, the military is conspiring against me, and we're in a severe debt crisis. So, time to figure out how to weasel out of this one. This is probably not going to end with re-election. I'll say that much. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick test to make sure everything is working. And we'll jump straight into it. All right. All is looking well. All right. Here we go. Let's do this. The final chapter. Or the final episode. Chapter 4. Checkmate. I was wrong. It was the final chapter. So, we're in a bind. We need to get out of debt. We need to prevent the army from taking control. We need to prevent the oligarchs from doing whatever they have planned. We need to make sure the anti-corruption police doesn't arrest us. Although, granted, if we go down but we save the economy, that's something... Oh, you know what? Let's straight up. My hope, my plan is if I'm going down, I might still barely be able to rescue the economy. If I can rescue the economy but go down, you know, however I go down, I'll consider that a win. Because there's no other way we're getting out of this. We're leaving. This game will end with either me in a cell or dead. I was gonna say in a cell or in cuffs, but that's the same thing. Someone's gonna arrest me one way or another. FC Enrico wins Source National League. Cool. Hegel will take all the necessary steps. Oh boy. All right. God, I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. Protect Women Act. In collaboration with the Commission on the Status of Women and acknowledging the pressing issue of high domestic violence rates, the Grand National Assembly puts forth the Protect Women Act to address these unacceptable conditions. Section 1 of the PWA categorically criminalizes domestic violence against women. This vital step strengthens the country's stance against such heinous acts, reinforcing the nation's commitment to upholding the rights and dignity of all women. Subsection L1A of the PWA takes a proactive approach towards the safety of victims. It establishes a robust witness protection program designed specifically for women who have suffered domestic abuse. The program will provide these women with the necessary security and support, helping to ensure their safety and well-being as they participate in legal proceedings against their aggressors. -1 government budget. We can't spend much money, but this is an obvious sign. Vito, you're so incredibly broke. I know, believe me, but we're not gonna get out of it by screwing over women. Sign. We are so broke, though. That's absolutely true. Okay. Well, that's a start. Women Protection Act. It's not the Women's Liberation Act, but it's something. Now, let's start off with a peaceful end of the day at home. Peaceful. I hope it's peaceful. It was raining as Serge dropped me off at home after yet another grueling day of work. A guard held an umbrella over my head as I walked from the car to my front door. Inside the house was completely dark. I flipped on the light in the kitchen to find a note from Monica. Kiara had called her for a last-minute women's rights meeting. She had dropped Diana off with her friends and left me some food for reheating. I took the pot out of the fridge. It was filled with an unidentifiable, grayish-looking stew. Evidently, Monica's excellent cooking had been the first casualty of her political career. I'm gonna order pizza. I called Serge and asked him to pick me up a pizza for dinner. While I was waiting for him, I went into the living room to fix myself a drink. Suddenly, the phone rang. I went back to the kitchen and answered it. Frank's voice was on the other end. Oh, I thought Mom would pick up. Sorry, you're stuck with your old man. I didn't mean it that way. I just figured you'd be working. There was a long silence. I got the records you sent me. Not bad for old folks' music. Glad you liked it. How's Uncle Peter doing? It's best he hears it from me. He and Evelyn are divorcing. No, bummer. Not exactly a surprise, though. So how's school? Fine. Better than fine. I've actually started seeing someone. Really? What's she like? She's amazing. Bloodish, actually. Her parents are big supporters of yours. Aw. Oh my god, 4 is a terrible answer. Jesus. I like her already. Maybe I'll bring her for dinner next week. The doorbell rang. Serge was here with my pizza. Good catching up with you, Frank. Yeah, okay. Bye, Dad. We both hung up. I let Serge in. The pizza he'd brought was gargantuan. Serge, would you like to join me for dinner? There's an FC America game today. I'd love to, sir, but I promised Susan I would watch the children tonight. Serge left. I ate my pizza alone by the flickering light of the television, wondering when Monica and Diana would get back home. What? What the fuck happened? Why did my budget drop that much? What happened? The industrial zone's done. That's nice. But what happened? Where'd my budget go? Oh, we're so cooked. Trade tariffs implemented. Uh-oh. Sordland's economy is facing a significant challenge with the imposition of increased trade tariffs by a foreign nation. Which one? This has led to an increase in the cost of trade goods, affecting the affordability of products for both businesses and consumers. What the fuck? Oh no. Sordland is facing a debt crisis due to the government's reckless spending and widening budget deficit. The situation has resulted in a significant increase in government debt, raising concerns about the country's ability to pay its debt without the assistance of a third party. The situation highlights the need for policies that promote fiscal responsibility, including reducing government spending. Oh, we're screwed. We're completely screwed. I was hoping it would stay at about -10, -12. Now with this, we're done for. We need help. Lauren Major hub for production and energy. It's nice, I guess. It's not going to save our ass, but... Anti-corruption raids, that's good, I guess. Jesus. Yeah, but we already had the trade tariffs against, from Vagsland against us. That wasn't that big a problem. It was just kind of par for the course. But it didn't have this effect. Election campaign ramps up across Sordland. Yeah, fair enough. USP conservatives try to obstruct administration. Obviously. Equa's insight. ATO and CSP threaten source independence. Former academic, Herwin Equa. Oh, wait. Yes, Lucian mentioned this book. Post-revolution synthesis warns of the growing influence of ATO and CSP on Sordland. Shit. Source debt crisis causes credit downgrade. Oh, God. An urgent call for economic reforms. Not even Vagslandian fire can stop us. The industrial... Oh, city of Conria is officially completed. That's good, I guess. Someone's debt crash sends shockwave across international markets. I might need to ask the ATO for a bailout. Oh boy. Low investment synergy reported. Low? Shit. The synergy between various investments across sectors remains low. A lack of alignment, coordination, and investment strategies leading to suboptimal results and slowed economic progress. The current scenario underscores the need for more integrated and strategic approach to investments to maximize their potential benefits. Really? I thought we did great with the synergy. Industrial zone opens, open to the public. Industrial output by 40%, that's good. Record number of female students, that's great. Debt crisis shocks the economy, yep. Fair Trade Commission creates trade regulation. Good, I guess. Police overwhelm remote cities. Merlin marks the first South Mercopan nation candidacy. Trade tariffs disrupt port and marine commerce. Oh, Jesus. This shocks me. I thought our investments were really solid. Shit, I don't know what to do here. I'm completely in a bind. I have no idea what we do here. Unsustainable borrowing and ballooning budget deficit threaten to bring financial collapse. The mounting government budget deficit and unsustainable borrowing have led to concerns among investors and analysts about the nation's ability to service its debt. Sordland, I'll pray for you. Thank you. I'll need it. Sordland now faces a serious debt crisis. This lack of confidence has resulted in increased borrowing costs, reduction in foreign investment, risk of a potential default, which could have far-reaching consequences for the Surge economy. Debts can be paid. Oh, we're so cooked. Does the debt crisis negate the investment synergy? That's new. I guess so. That's the only thing I can think of, because I think our synergies have been really, really solid the entire way through. So that's the only thing I can come up with. It's got to be the debt crisis killing the whole thing. And that does make perfect sense, frankly. Okay, human dignity bill. What the fuck is this? It's set before the assembly to address an unintended consequence of the 1923 legal transactions. Oh, is this the anti-sex work bill? By the NFP or something? Aforementioned act allows transaction involving non-registered businesses. Financial authority. Infringe upon public morality. Yeah. Categorizes prostitution as an illegal activity. Yeah, absolutely not, veto. Not even gonna read the end of that. Protect storage sex workers. Yeah, good. I always veto this. Yeah, this is the best way to go. Why would I do that? I'm not going to ruin everyone's... I'm not going to take the country down with... Oh, well, I guess I kind of already have. I'm not going to take the country down with me worse. Oh my god. Why more budget? I can't do anything. I'm stuck. In continuation of the efforts to promote social progress and upliftment, the Parliament introduced the Children for Future Act. Act focuses on providing tangible support to families in need, welfare for children. Unlocks additional state support. Proactive approach aims to create a safety net for the most vulnerable. Okay, obviously I want to sign this, but we don't have the budget for it at all. That said, though, if we're going to get a bailout, if we're going to join the ATO, because honestly, I think that's the only option I've got. Oh, so you hate children? Yeah, honestly, I think we sign this and honestly get the ATO to bail us out, because that's the only way I can see myself out of this absolute mess. Because if the ATO stabilizes everything, provides us a huge relief, then maybe the country might survive. We'd be given up actually, honestly, besides the debt crisis, we have no money. Yeah, we have no money. We have no money. Shit. And the crazy thing is, with the budget crash, this is like the only thing we've got. Like, this help is needed more than ever. All right, you know what? Here's the plan. We're going to sign the bill, and we're going to reach out to the ATO, see if they can get us out of this crisis. Because if they can't get us out of this crisis, the extra one budget is not going to change anything at all. I think I'm going to have to break my neutrality promise and basically offer the ATO a strategic base here in exchange for helping me with the debt crisis. Because honestly, I don't feel, I mean, we literally are selling ourselves out a little bit here, but I think we've done a pretty good job at maintaining our independence. We're crushing the oligarchs with the anti-corruption raids. We've, I think, got really good synergy in spite of what it said. I think that's mostly a result of the debt crisis. And if the Silicon Valley and industrial zone kick off, we could be looking at a huge upsurge. So I'm going to sign it. Children benefits. That's something. It's something. God, I did not... I could have never guessed how badly that trade war at the beginning would destroy me. Children of the future. No child should go without education or healthcare. Well, that's good. Discussion on the current internal affairs. A storm was on the horizon outside my window. You're telling me. The inside of my office, however, was very warm and cozy. I straightened myself up on the sofa next to the fireplace and looked at Monsoon, who was sitting on the couch across from me. He was here representing all 8 British members of the Assembly. And you got the trade war? Yeah, I got the trade war. It's bad. It's real bad. He had dark creases under his eyes from the lack of sleep. As I said earlier, we've been working on this bill for a long time, Mr. President. I've always done my best to represent my people, only to keep getting blocked in the Assembly. We can't have the same happen again. I've always brought my people's concern to the Assembly and raised my voice whenever our rights were in question. All we ask is that the Assembly at least have a proper discussion. But all we get is disrespect. MPs shouting racial slurs at us, not allowing us to speak, and it's not only the National Front. He stopped for a moment and repositioned himself on the seat. I don't even remember a time when Mrs. Tory allowed me to finish a speech. The Assembly does not take us independents seriously. We need your help. I understand you, Mr. Leck. This discrimination against you is unacceptable. Honestly, it's kind of hilarious how absolutely it all crashed. Yeah. I didn't expect it to go this badly. This was... Oh, God. I didn't expect it to be this bad. The -4, just like -4 hit me out of nowhere, and I was like, oh boy, we're screwed. That's where your help would be very valuable. Fun fact, if you sign NFP bills and sign the Minority Act, it negates previous bills. Really? That's very interesting. Do you mean negates it on, like, you know, about how much support you get? Or, like, actually negates, like, basically contradicts and overrides the other bills, like, in wording? Temporary racism is the meta. No. No. Racism is never the meta. He gestured at the papers I had received from him earlier. All we need is your support for our bill. It's time to undo the mistakes of the Source State against its citizens. I only ask you to help us make this single step for good instead of staying idle. Our proposal aims to form a committee for minority rights, and it will lift the ban on the British Freedom Party, as well as giving amnesty to all those who were arrested for having ties to it. Their families are still waiting for them in Berkshire. It's not Tarkin Sola's era anymore. It's time we try to clean up the taint he left on our history. I agree with you completely, Mr. Leck. Thank you for supporting this noble cause. Negates the effects. It gets you half British support, not as much as committing to the British dream, but still pretty good. Okay. Glad to hear it, Mr. President. He rubbed his chin. So, we have your support? Yes. I'll form the commission and sign your proposal as a decree. Thank you, Mr. President. He rose up and walked to me and extended a hand. It means a lot. Thank you. We shook hands. Suddenly we heard a knock on the door and Lucian entered. Sir? I'm sorry, I thought your meeting was over. Mr. President has already decided. We can call it over, Mr. Glad. I was already leaving. Great. Then we must go to the meeting room, sir. One of our new campaign advisors has some plans for the election. He's waiting for us. Oh, God, we don't have time for the fucking election. There is no election. The economy's fucked. Let's go. Blockade of Helgoland. Oh, Jesus. Everything gets worse. Everything is worse. Okay, I'm gonna complain a little bit less and try to fix this shit. Let's go. Let's see what we can do here. Minority Rights Act, great. Ladies' Bill struck down. Families in Sordland can breathe easier as the controversial Women's Liberation Act proposed by Minister of Education. Fuck these guys. Holzord Post condemns this. I hate Holzord Post so much. Rich and Standard rates Sordland D-. Yeah, I know. Protect Women Act signed. It's something. British Rights Act, very good. Arcasia's dual approach to refugees. Amidst rising religious persecution in United Contana, and several hardline CSP nations, the Republic of Arcasia has opened its doors, positioning itself as a beacon of hope for the oppressed. To manage the influx, the Arcasian government has implemented a program integrating these refugees into the workforce, addressing both the nation's labor needs and providing meaningful employment to the newcomers. Beneficiaries of the program receive housing and various socioeconomic benefits, harnessing the potential of these individuals. Vaxon blocks Helleland. Roomberg plane warned inside airspace. Great. Now I have to deal with Roomberg. Okay. Alcohol Tax Act. Grand National Assembly introduces the Alcohol Tax Act, ATA, as a dual measure to curb excessive alcohol consumption and boost tax revenues. 25% import tax plus one government budget. Yeah, let's just jump right to it. Sign. That stabilizes things a little bit. Fair luxury tax, plus 2 government budget. Ooh. In an endeavor to enhance the equity of the taxation system and augment tax revenues, Grand National Assembly introduced the Fair Luxury Tax Act. 15% rate on luxury goods, as categorized by the Ministry of Economy. Jewelry first, sports cars, yachts, private planes. 10% estate tax, purchase, sale, property transfer, in cases of inheritance. Excellent. Do it. Public opinion? What's that? I don't care. Doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is getting enough money to fix this shit. Increase luxury good prices? Good, honestly. Alcohol consumption reduced? Good. Alright, what else can we do? Luxury is now taxable. Reign to put a lid on alcohol consumption. Yeah. Fund political youth group. The possibility of funding a political youth group has arisen. We can potentially expand our ideological reach and bolster our election efforts. The presidency would discreetly allocate substantial government funds to the youth wing, integrating them into the state as part of the essential institutions, in exchange for their loyalty and support. This is corrupt. Yeah, but we're already pretty corrupt. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to fund just because we're losing the election anyway. Like, there's zero hope of getting the election, winning the election. Again, best case scenario, we save the economy and end this run in cuffs. So, save as much money as we can. Don't bother. As much as I wouldn't mind funding the Red Youth here, I think it would be fine. Oh, I'm so scared. Let's go with the emergency call in an escalating situation. That sounds more pleasant than the briefing. I was woken up in the middle of the night by a call from the Ministry of Defense. Due to the sensitivity of the information, I had to be urgently briefed in person. I put on my clothes as fast as I could. I rushed downstairs and opened the door. Serge was waiting for me. Mr. President, this way to the car, please. We got to the car and made our way to the Ministry of Defense building without a word. There was no corruption in supporting our comrades. Agreed. I arrived and was directed downstairs. I came to a set of large doors and quickly read the sign above them. The sign read War Room. The dimly lit room was filled with cutting-edge equipment, the latest video screens, long-range radio electronics, and other devices used for communication, presentation, and planning. The centerpiece of the room was a large round table with the coat of Sword's arms graved on it. Debbie, Lucian, Vulcan, and Yosef were already deep in discussion. I agree with your sentiments, Lister Lancia. Going to war is simply too risky. We must maintain peace in Sordland and Eastern Mokopa at all costs. I agree. We have much to lose. Have some faith in our soldiers. Are you stupid? We have much to lose against what exactly? Mr. President, thank you for coming in at this late hour. There is a situation. Vulcan, please go ahead and provide your report. Mr. President, approximately 20 minutes ago, Roomberg downed one of our planes with anti-aircraft fire from the ground. The pilot was declared KIA. The last recorded position of the plane was inside Swordlish airspace. General Kruger, I mean no offense, but are we absolutely sure that is the case? Are you sure this happened within our borders? No offense taken. Here are the locations on the map and the report from the airbase. He pointed to several markers on the map. To answer your question, yes, we are absolutely sure. You can see here on the map that the plane was downed approximately 10 kilometers within our borders. We have calculated the trajectory of the gunfire, and they started firing when our plane was within our border. The plane was downed near Haugen. We need to be cautious. A war with Runeberg is the last thing we need right now. I completely agree. It looks like they are trying to lure us into their trap. This is an attack against Sordland, and under different circumstances, the response to that is clear. But the current status of our military is also clear. We are not adequately equipped for such a foe. I agree with Mr. President. We can't look weak. If we appear weak, they will jump on the opportunity. We must order a military retaliation immediately. Did you start losing your common sense, General Vulcan? You know the state our army is in right now. Our retaliation is too risky. When was our job not risky, Mr. Lancia? Ooh. Ooh. That's cold. Damn, okay. Okay, Vulcan. Mr. President, our army is ready to do whatever it takes to protect Sordland. Gentlemen, before it comes to that point, we can prevent further bloodshed by using diplomacy. The room fell silent before Yosef finally spoke up. Mr. President, what are your orders? We will approach this diplomatically and try to de-escalate the situation by any means. No one wants a war. Vulcan's insane. Oof. Yeah, that was cold, Mr. Lancia. Ooh. We'll approach this diplomatically. We can't afford a war. Lucian's 10 sub-soldiers relaxed. Thank you, sir. I will immediately begin working on it. Yeah, we're joining the ATO anyways. Yeah, that's going to be the plan. With Mr. Vishy's capabilities, I'm sure we will de-escalate the situation successfully. We will keep you updated on our progress. Coward. Hey! I'm doing my best! This is our best bet. If you ask me, that is just plain old weakness we are showing them right now. I am frankly disappointed, Mr. President. If we can't even retaliate against such an attack, what will become of this country in the future? Oh, don't worry. We have much bigger things to worry about, Vulcan. Peace must be maintained at all costs. I am saying this as a man who's seen too many years of war. We're not the ones that are attacking the peace. Regardless, it looks like your decision has been made, Mr. President. I know when I'm not needed. I will take my leave. Before he left the room, he saluted. Well, now that we know the way forward, I have an idea, Mr. President. I think we should hold a military parade to display our strength. I'm with Mr. Lancia on this one. This should work well as a deterrent, and it will come in handy as a tool to de-escalate the situation. That is a good idea. Simple and effective without causing any ruckus. No, we need to create a peaceful image for Sordland. Look, our military is anemic. I've cut the funding. I don't regret that decision. I think it was necessary, but we've cut the funding. There's no reason for a military parade. I honestly think it'll make us look more weak than strong. Again, our army's pathetic right now. It's bad. I think just leaning into a peaceful image is the stronger move here. And also, again, public support just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. We don't have anything. We need to fix the economy. No, we need to create a peaceful image for Sordland. Understood. That is all, Mr. President. I will keep you updated on the situation. For now, have a good night's sleep. You will need it. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Sorge plane shot down. Velen raises concerns over Runeberg posturing. Amidst the escalating tensions in the region, Velen's president Victor Smolik has issued a statement raising concerns about Runeberg's aggressive maneuvers. Expressing unease over Runeberg's clandestine support for the Bullish Freedom Front, Smolik warns Sordland to stay vigilant. Fair enough. This warning comes on the heels of a recent aerial engagement between Sordland and Runeberg, inflaming the volatile atmosphere. Briefing on the Marcel Cronti investigation. Central Hall, Maroon Palace. For context, last time we made a deal with Marcel. We both made the media deal with Sordland today, and we accepted, we took him up on his offer to basically support us in exchange for the shares we sold from the Source State Corporation. Later on, we got a report from NIA, the anti-corruption police, that Marcel Caronti was involved in trafficking weapons and drugs through the Coronelli gang. So, instead of telling her to stand down and focus on Tusk, she told me that she wanted to open an investigation with the Ministry of Interior to fully investigate the heart of Sordland. And I gave her the thumbs up. I didn't call Marcel, I just told her to go through with it. We made this bed. We lie in it. Briefing on the Marcel Caronti investigation. I was walking down the corridor towards my office on the way back from lunch. Right next to the door, Lilius, Nia, and Carl were waiting. They approached me. Are they going to arrest me right here? That would be so funny. There's been an important update on the Caronti investigation. We entered the office. An informant from HOS contacted us. He was identified as a low-level executive. Go on. Carl stepped forward and bowed. We interrogated him thoroughly and confirmed the information he gave us. We now have proof that a subsidiary of HOS, Conrath Holdings, Conrath Caronti, that was his father, is a shell corporation engaged in money laundering for the Coronelli cartel. Really? They used the one named after his father to engage in the money laundering. Now that's just stupid. That's just dumb. Come on, guys. That might as well be painting a big target on your back saying we are corrupt. What are you doing? It is a shell corporation engaged in money laundering for the Coronelli cartel. Over the past 3 years, approximately 15 million Sordish Ren from the Coronelli's drug and weapon smuggling activities have gone through this corporation with Marcel Caronti's implicit approval. That settles it then. What is the plan? The time has come. Frankly, we have been preparing for this possibility. Please, follow us to the comms room. I think they're gonna arrest me. They're gonna arrest me right here. Nia gestured towards the door and I followed the two women down the hall. We had descended the spiral staircase at the very edge of the palace, close to where my office was located. Going through narrower corridors and upstairs, we came in front of a large door with a shield and a goat carved on it. Nia opened the door and we entered. After taking our seats, she gave me a sheepish look. Mr. President, I said we have been preparing for this opportunity, but that might have been an understatement. Our attack teams are ready to go. They've surrounded Mr. Caronti's villa in Estord. Ooh. She nodded at Carl. Carl leaned forward and spoke into the microphone. Begin. We sat there for a few minutes, waiting anxiously. Finally, Carl received a radio transmission. Mr. Caronti has been successfully captured. All right. We go down with him. I'm just waiting for him to start talking, frankly. Unless he thinks I have no involvement. That's possible. He maybe won't pin this on me, and he'll just let bygones be bygones. But I highly, highly doubt that. Mr. Caronti has been successfully captured. Well done. Now that he's been arrested, Sordland will have one less traitor. We will learn the truth from him directly. All of his contacts, everyone he's been dealing with. I want to especially confirm the rumor about his contact in the administration. We will squeeze every drop of information we can out of him. One way or another. Looking forward to the results. We will bring them to you as quickly as possible. I am looking forward to the results. That isn't a lie. I just don't know if they will incriminate me. The news ought to break any moment now. This was all for today, Mr. President. We will keep you posted. Thank you for your time. Mr. President? They left one by one, and I made my way back to my office. This could be the end of my presidency. If Marcel talked, everything could end. There must be a way out of this. I don't think there is. There is no way out of this. Is Walter back in control? Seriously? Good God. I hope they fucking get rid of him too. If anyone needs to be in cuffs, honestly, if I had to choose between Marcel and Tusk, I'd definitely choose Marcel. Tusk needs to go. He needs to be out. I hope they arrest him next. Caronti links to Coronelli cartel confirmed. The joint investigation into Marcel Caronti by the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of the Interior has confirmed Caronti's corporation, Heart of Sordland, has been laundering money for the Coronelli cartel. Caronti has been apprehended at his Estord villa and now awaits trial in Ental Rock. It's so over. It's so over. Wait, what other... Okay, okay, so the marker's just not going away. Oh, there we go. Tell me about urgent meeting on potential alliances. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room after he scheduled an emergency meeting. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm definitely a lot better at this when I first started, but I still stumble over my words very frequently. Apologies for that. I knew that the matter must have been serious. He insisted on waiting for Yosef and Lucian, so we did. Lucian entered the room with Yosef by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President, Mr. Vishy, what's going on? David cleared his throat. Welcome, everyone. Due to the potential ramifications, I want everyone to be present for this meeting. We have received an envoy from Arcasia. They're requesting a state visit. Judging from the current climate, it's not hard to see what this is about. ATO is always trying to expand its influence after all. They will most likely try to convince us to join. In addition, as part of the state visit, Dwight Walker will of course meet with you in person, Mr. President. There is something we could gain from the state visit. I bet he will come asking for cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join the ATO. This will antagonize half the world against us, and we are going to be at the forefront of the battle. With the courage of our troops and our allies, we can defend our nation against anyone. I assure you, we don't need any outside help, especially not from Dwight Walker. Let's see what he wants first. I'll decide when I talk to him. We need to be careful. Mr. Walker never gives anything for free. Oh boy, that's true. There will be some concessions for sure. I'm scared of those concessions. Very scared of those concessions. Mr. Vishy, you're our most experienced foreign policy expert. What's your take on this? What do you think is the right action? World tension is increasing rapidly, Mr. President, and I am worried about the future. As am I. One misstep and the whole world might be engulfed in chaos. I am afraid it might not be possible to stay neutral in this case. Our geopolitical position is simply too important. Soon, we will have to take a side. If we don't pick a side, we may end up right in the middle of a potential conflict. I am of the opinion that this is an opportunity that we can't miss. It all boils down to your decision. But I say, we should at least listen to what Dwight Walker has to say. Lucian, what do you think? We heard our experts. You are the one who has to decide, sir. Very well. Accept their offer. Now send our response immediately. Then there's a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we welcome their delegation, sir? Okay, an extravagant delegation would just look really pathetic because we're in severe debt. We don't have the fucking money for this. They'll know it's a sham. They know our debt situation. It's stupid. Military welcome, also pretty pathetic. Again, our military is fucking anemic. They've been gutted. I've gutted them. I take full responsibility for that. I've gutted them. I think it was the right choice still, but our military is pathetic. It's ridiculous. We can't do anything. A plain welcome. We'll show them. We're like, hey, it's just like we're accepting any other country. Extravagant is hilarious. Maybe. I've never done an extravagant one, but yeah, no, I don't think I'll do it. Sorry, I'm not doing the extravagant delegation. Extravagant welcome. We're not doing it. It just doesn't make any sense for us. We don't have the money. It doesn't make sense. Military, same reasons. A plain welcome will suffice. They are the ones who are requesting this. Sorry, Zargos. As you wish. I have taken a note. I think that's all for today. Thank you all for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines on the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Some human rights. I guess that's decent. Some is better than none. Limited security powers. Alright, I guess. Oh, we're going straight into it. Okay, then. It's not what I expected, but here we go. State visit of President Walker. Gates of the Maroon Palace, Hozard. The door of the car opened. Flashes went off. Dwight Walker, president of Arcadia, head of the ATO, came out of the car, smiling and waving to the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day that the Arcadian president came to visit Sordland after all. President Walker stepped on the carpet and started to make his way towards us. Along with Monica, I started walking over to him to meet him midway. Finally, I was in reaching distance to one of the most powerful men in the world. He looked at Monica first, bowed, and kissed her hand for a second longer than I liked. Mr. Rain, if you told me I would get to meet your lovely wife, I would have come sooner. I'm charmed, Mrs. Rain. I'm charmed, Miss Rain. You piece of shit. Oh my. Thank you, Mr. Walker. It's a pleasure to meet with you. No, the pleasure's all mine, Miss Rain. You fucking ghoul. I hope your wife and the family is well. Thank you, Monica. They're very well, Miss Rain. Thank you. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here today. And who do we have here? Mr. President, it's so good to finally meet with you. We shook hands. It is really good to see you, Mr. President. I assure you, the feeling is mutual. That's why I'm here, in fact. He turned and looked around. I was almost going to think that you weren't expecting me. Of course not. You're our guest of honor. I'm just joking, Mr. President. Don't fret over it. He's not joking. He laughed. I'm glad I didn't take the, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm glad no, you're our guest of honor approach. Again, you don't capitulate here. You just, stand your ground. Again, that's what this is. Plain welcome. Simple thing. A strong thing, but a simple thing. We started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. Oh, for the record, by the way, I've never actually had this meeting before, so this is completely new to me. I've talked to the CSP in 2 of my former playthroughs, but this is the first time I'm meeting with Walker. So, I'm excited to see this. He was simply looking around at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd inside was composed of various politicians and state figures. You'll hate him. I know, because I hate him. I met him twice. Yeah, I've met Leon Millenniev twice, but I've never met Dwight Walker. So I already hate him for calling Monica Miss Rain instead of Mrs. Rain. What a piece of shit. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd, composed of politicians and state figures. Upon our entry, they started clapping. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you President Walker. People started clapping. Thank you, President Rain. It is really good to be here. And thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. With another thunderous round of applause, the jazz band started playing. President Walker and I separated and started mingling with the crowd. The reception was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, President Walker approached us. He bowed before my wife. Miss Rain, can I call you Monica? I hate him. She looked over at me before smiling at him. Yes, of course, if I can call you Dwight. He took her hand and they started dancing. I turned around to talk to the waiter. I hate him. I hate him so much. I was into my 3rd martini when I heard a whistle. I turned around and saw Monica dancing very closely with President Walker. All eyes in the room were on them. President Walker grabbed Monica's waist. I only met Millennia once because planned economy is so hard. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Fuck. President Walker, why don't we have a chat somewhere quiet? Right when we were getting to the good part. Fine, let's have a chat. The president and I swapped our drinks for early maroon 30-year-olds. I knew a special spot. With our drinks at hand, we went down to the stairs to the basement. For the record, Millennia was so much better. I much, much prefer him. Oh my god, this guy's a piece of shit. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cozy little corner office with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. I hope it's not dusty. He took a seat, and I followed suit. He pulled out 2 cigars. I took one of the cigars. He pulled out a Rippo lighter. Ah, Zippo reference. Nice. I've always wanted a Zippo lighter. He pulled out a Rippo lighter and lit my cigar before lighting his own. And this is not even the worst of it. Fuck me, man. I heard you got into a scandal. Something about a secretary. Truly unfortunate chain of events. Indeed. He grinned. Relax, it's just a scandal, and I'm no reporter. I just made it out alive a bad one myself. It was a rough one, too. You get used to it. Couple people in prison, couple people silenced. You know the drill. Cheers to your survival, then, Mr. Rain. We clinked our glasses and took a sip. Ah, this is a really good one. It's very smoky. I like it. I'm glad you liked it. He took a puff from his cigar, filling the small room with smoke. Definitely miles better than Vexlandian whiskey. But I like lesbian whiskey more. Pairs better with their cigars. You see, Mr. Rain, whiskeys are a little bit like countries. Some are stronger, some are weaker, some are older, some are younger. Many are complex, but sometimes simple is best. I personally like stronger whiskeys in general. That's why I like this one. Yes, it's definitely promising. But whatever you drink, in the end, it all boils down to your own taste. And I assure you, Mr. Rain, my sense of taste is very refined. What type of whiskey do you like? These are fascinating decisions. So we're not going with 3. I can't believe these simple dialogue decisions are the ones that have put so much thought into me. I am good with whatever's made here in Sordland. A fine answer, but a bit restricted, I would say. He laughed at his he tugged at his tie to loosen it a little. You know why I'm here. I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. Good. Listen closely. Times are changing, and so is the balance of the world. Soon, instead of a fractured world, we'll see a more unified world. There is us, ATO, against them. I want you by our side. The winning side. I think there is much we can achieve together, and you have shown me the proof. A friend of Lesbia is our friend as well. If you accept, I would like to extend you a warm welcome to the ATO as a full member state. This, of course, comes with the law of privileges and responsibility. In the ATO, we protect each other. We have a mutual defense clause in the case of war. Join us, Mr. Rain, and you'll have the entire backing of ATO. Soldiers, jet fighters, warships, whatever you like. During peacetime, you'll see the effects even more. Our combined production output will benefit both Sordland and ATO. We'll have a free trade zone agreements, free visa access, investments, you name it. This is what I want. This is exactly what I want to get out of this fucking disaster. All I ask in return is mutual loyalty to one another in the pact. The Swordsh Armed Forces will be a member of the ATO military structure. All branches, be it Air, Navy, Army, will collaborate with the Alliance network. We will provide assistance and training for free. Our armies will learn how to fight together and be stronger than ever in the face of the Millenniumist threat. Let's make history. Here. Tonight. What do you say? Sordland is about to have the Greece experience. Yeah. Yeah. Probably worse if I'm being sincere. Okay, well, I'm not going to say 2. I'm not going to say, what, you're not demanding more? No, why would I fucking do that? I assure you can hold on our own just fine? No. We can't. And besides, he's not saying anything particularly egregious. Thank you for the offer, however, we no plans. No. No, we need the investments. We need the alliance. We need to beef up our army. We need everything he's offering here. There's nothing more to say. I say aye. I accept, Mr. Walker. That's what I'd like to hear. We stood up and shook hands. Welcome to ATO, Mr. Rain. Welcome home. Cheers to newfound partnerships. We clinked our glasses and downed the remaining whiskey. Now it's starting to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rain. We have much to discuss. But more importantly, we need to celebrate. Besides, I have a few more dance moves to show off. Oh, boy, that's a lot of situation updates. Okay. Administration announces Sordland's ATO membership. Militarily, the transition period will have a few effects on the citizens. And begin to be integrated. ATO will now have substantial power over the decision-making of the Sword's armed forces, which justifiably was not and will not be welcomed by many officials from the army. Sorry, guys. Sordland joins ATO. Threat to the stability of the world. Chancellor Hagel refrained from making a comment. Yeah, I don't blame him for that. Okay, we have a lot of new situations that we gotta go over. ATO officers. Of course, that makes perfect sense. Adequately equipped military. Modernized Air Force. Very good. Not bad at all. Economy. Investments from Arcasia. Thank goodness. Many Arcasian companies are opening new branches, expanding their existing operations, forming storage-based subsidiaries, bolstering our economy, and creating opportunities for jobs and further investments. He can also threaten you in your own palace. Yikes. That's fucked up. Diplomacy. ATO member. Situations. Foreign energy manipulation. There's a high degree of foreign manipulation in Sordland's energy sector, threatening the country's energy stability. Is this... I guess this is manipulation, yeah. Arcasian influence. Sordland under its sphere of influence. Fluctuating energy prices. That's really bad. ATO military support. Strategic alliance member. Okay, then. ATO alliance enlarges with the inclusion of Sordland. The admission of Sordland into the ATO alliance, a first for the country, it represents a significant shift in the region's geopolitics, signaling a surge in ATO's influence in Eastern Makopa. Honestly, this is pretty good. I expected him to make a lot more egregious demands. Like selling some of the business, selling, like, you know, privatizing healthcare, literally anything. But he hasn't. I'll take it. Dirtia condemns Sordland's ATO membership. Supreme Wiseman Jorga Asmal has openly censured Sordland's recent membership of the Arcadian Treaty Organization, invoking religious curses and diplomatic pressure. He denounced his alignment as a betrayal of the Eastern Makopans for solidarity. Interesting. Why? Oh, wait, yeah, I guess we're... I guess that makes sense. This is such an impressive map. Nordland. I didn't know that was there. What's this? Oh, of course. Late night at the Rain household. Residence of the President of Sordland. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Chiara, and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting their bill through Assembly. The result wasn't as comprehensive as they'd hoped for, but it was a good start. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. But it had been hours since I'd gotten home, and she still wasn't there. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn in the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. "Honey, I'm home." Kiss her. I kissed her. Her breath smelled like gin. I was just having a few drinks with Chiara. I'm actually amazed any version of our bill passed, given how stacked the assembly was against us. But of course, she wants to keep pushing for more. She hiccuped. So you decided to get juiced? Well, yes. Isn't that what any man would do? My God, I'm starting to see what I put you through all those years. Get used to it, baby. I'm not going to stop until we get what we're asking for. True equality for all women in Sordland. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. Show her the frame photo. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the photograph I'd taken from my old office on that fateful night with Peter. Oh, wow. Look at us. I'm still as madly as in love with you as the day that photo was taken. Monica smiled, took my head, and wordlessly led me up to the bedroom. That's a cute little moment. Rain unbans controversial political party. Fantastic. President Ray has signed the Minority Rights Act. While the name suggests differently, the main purpose of this act is to normalize, legalize, even I hate these guys so much. Kivner condemns President Rain. Fuck Kivner. WPB record membership number. Cool. Workers' Party is leading a great journey to the Maroon Palace. Cool. Sordland creates peace line to avert war. Yeah. Not much else to say. Oh. Is it really that bad? I really thought our synergies would be a lot better than this. Synergy between various investments across sectors remains low. Pakistani Navy, yikes. One-on-one interview from Kairut. Fine. Naval presence, Unified Intelligence Agency, transit rights from Confederacy of Yaktras. Okay. Yeah, low synergy. Shit. Uh-oh. Election speech. I don't even know if we're gonna defeat... I'll hold that thought. The sun was starting to peek through the blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Anrika. I hadn't slept at all that night. I was too busy thinking about how I would rally my party's conservative base at today's election kickoff. Fuck the conservative base. We've already switched over to a liberal manifesto anyway. I was just putting on my clothes when two soft, sharp knocks came at the door. Lucian. Good morning, sir. Morning, Lucian. Lucian unclasped his briefcase and took out a small disc-shaped device. After scanning the room with it, he gave it a satisfied nod. It's about your investigation into the oligarchs. As you know, Marcel Caronti is currently out of the picture, but there's been a very interesting update regarding Mr. Tusk. Can we take him out too? Lucian pulled out a folder and opened it. The anti-corruption police have looked further into Walter Tusk's foreign ties, found some very unsettling information. One of his corporation's subsidiaries is directly involved in smuggling and selling Rumburgian Ka-74s within Sordland. The traitor. This is treason on the highest level. There's no doubt Tusk must be punished. Would you like to go forward with his arrest and trial, sir? Yes. I hope he suffers in jail. Oh, interesting. There's the option to leverage the information. Very interesting. But no. Throw him in jail. Lucian nodded smoothly. As you wish. I'll make the necessary calls immediately. Now that that's settled, I'll let you prepare for your rally. I almost forgot. The Archpriest of Dyer couldn't be present today, but he wanted to relay a message of support to you and your family. What do you say? Y'all want to see my favorite line in the game? I bust the reins down in Anrika. Cue applause. I love this game. Lucian left the room. I finished putting on my tie and reread my notes for the morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings at the Norzord Auditorium in Anrika. In the audience were several thousand of my conservative supporters. What conservative supporters? They don't like us. They hate us. I've screwed them over at every turn. Well, granted, it was deserved. They screwed me over, but... I'll be honest, I didn't get the reference until someone told me. It's a great reference. Behind the podium hung a Sorge flag and a giant banner that read, "For a united Sordland." Anrika Mayor Curtin Lest gave a short introductory speech. It was hard to forget how the Benfia event went down. Everyone cheered as I walked on stage, though Mayor Curtin Lest was now a part of the opposition as a member of the NFP. It seemed most of Anrika was still on my side. With that knowledge, I'd like to check something. Yeah, they've grown in number. Yeah, so my decision to shift liberal is definitely... They got 14 members off of the conservative wing of my party. But we brought the rest of them in line. So with them in the PFJP, that's over 2/3 majority. Oh wait, the independents have gone up a lot too. Ooh, wait, that's interesting. We used to have 130 minus 26. Ah, fuck it, I'm not doing math. Anyway, a lot of people have joined the NFP and the independents have gone up. Very interesting. But I still think changing the manifesto to liberal was a smooth move. Peter gave a short speech introducing me. Then, it was my turn. I stepped behind the podium and took a deep breath. Brothers and sisters of the United Sordland Party. I think we go with a more aggressive language here. Over the past 3.5 years, many enemies have tried to destroy me and this fine country. I think I want to, you know, aggressively amp up the conservatives. Because this is a conservative speech, right? We're talking to the conservative wing of our party. Right? As far as I'm aware. Over the past 3.5 years, many enemies have tried to destroy me and this fine country. Yet Sordland has prevailed. Under my administration, we are stronger than ever. With my re-election, I will finish pulling Sordland's economy from the depths of recession. Under my presidency, Sword's citizens have united like never before. I will continue to defend Sordland against threats, whether internal or external. I remain committed to stamping out the corruption that has plagued Sword's corporations for far too long. Thunderous applause erupted. Good. Meanwhile, I dare to envision a brave new direction for our party towards the liberals of our western neighbors. Do I go with that? No, I don't think I go with that because I don't think the conservative... No, the conservative wing doesn't like Arcadia at all. Yeah, focus on strength. I am the USP. Yeah, I'm between Sordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. Actually, I am the USP might not be a bad move here. But I don't want to say someone have accused me of straying from the values of the USP. Actually, no. No, I think I do hammer down here. Yeah, you know what? Actually bringing the party further in line, I think, is the best move here. Some have accused me of straying from the value... Actually, no, this might enrage them. This feels like a bad move because we're speaking to the conservatives. This seems like a bad move because it's not true. And this seems like a bad move because it puts too much of a spotlight on me, and that could be risky. We've already lost. Might as well go crazy. That's not bad. Not a bad thing. That's not a bad point. Screw it. Some have accused me of straying from the values of the USP. To them I say, I am the USP. There's been tremendous progress made in this term. And more, I've devoted an unprecedented amount of effort towards making the USP as great as it can be. We will not lose. I and Vice President Vector shall not back down until we finish what we started. A roar shook the hall. It is time, my fellow swords. A new dawn is upon us, and it begins right here and right now. I'm Morgna Wes Core. The audience enthusiastically finished the saying as streamers shot out of cannons behind me. My re-election campaign had officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. Okay, that went very well. I expected that to go a lot worse. Oh, increased government budget. Thank God. Who's in control of the oligarchs now? Mikhail Avin. Good to see you, old friend. All right, what we got? CSP announces Universal Minority Rights Convention. That's something. First long-range bombers deployment defining moment. Yeesh. Worrying, but I guess we're on their side now. Oh boy, oh god, I don't want to see the economic situation. I don't. God, this is so bad. Okay, what have we got here? Market economy. Yeah, we've done that. Recovered trade volume, not bad. Tax efficient economy, very good. Ooh. Wait, Lauren Rust Belt? How? We've invested everything into Lauren. Are you kidding me? Fuck, man. Gruni, lagging behind in development. Aglan, lacks investment. Lauren, Rust Belt. Bergia, economy plummets. Fucking shit. God, I'm swearing a lot this stream. Red Youth attacks religious group. Oh, okay. Attacks. What are you saying? Let's see. Ravaged a peaceful religious group. This is so inflammatory. What's the actual story? Red Youth drives CSP and WPB recruitment. Trade war, debt crisis, depression, emotional and economic. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, nah, I don't have anything to add. That's accurate. That's so accurate. We interview a few passing citizens on what they think. We heard a conflicting answer. Baker attending the rally said the revolution is coming. While local marketers say, it's pointless, but they're still doing it. Okay. What have we got here? Funding disruptions in welfare. Ugh. God, the debt crisis is just oh god. We're so fucked. It's over. It's completely over. I thought at least Lauren would recover here because we put so much money into Lauren. So much. Yeah, I think there's the only explanation I've got is that the synergies just kind of flatlined and crashed because of the debt crisis. And if the trade war didn't happen, we probably would have been completely fine. Even with as much money as we'd been spending. I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs. An assistant waiting by the door to the meeting room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents laid out before him. He stood up when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took a seat. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good to see you. Likewise. A knock was heard on the door and Peter entered the room. I hope I'm not late. Did you start yet? Mr. Vice President. No, not yet. Now that everyone's here, let's begin. As you all know, we're here to review the economic progress we've made over the past term and decide how to proceed. I will brief you quickly on what we have done so far, just as a refresher. Very well, let's hear it. He gathered the documents in the pile in front of him and adjusted his glasses. From the pile, he produced 2 booklets and handed them to us. Please turn to page 5. Let's start off with our economy plan. I would like to say that we are on track, but unfortunately, I cannot. Our decisions so far have not been in line with our initial intention for our market economy. We have been largely inconsistent and our economy has taken a hit because of it. What? What? We privatized the Sword State Corporation. We picked Taurus for the railway. We've increased trade with Lesbia. I don't think we've been inconsistent at all. We kept healthcare and education under the state, and Nadam, I guess. Although I guess investment in Gassam, keeping Nadam. Okay, I guess. Shit. That's not great. It's unfortunate we couldn't have followed through. That's the price we pay for doing the right thing. I agree. History will prove us right. Just pointing out the facts here. Let's move on with the report. The people don't deserve state control services. Hey, it's our job to run the country, and frankly, if we've done a bad job, then, people's anger is justified. Turn to page 16, titled Status of Trade and the Effects of Foreign Policy. I'm happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We're on the right path. More trade means a more vibrant economy, which means unbridled economic development. For better or worse, Sordland is becoming quite reliant on foreign economies. I don't like that, but it can't be helped now. True, we must look ahead. We need to fix this issue as soon as possible. Sordland can't be a nation that relies on others. We will have to carefully consider this matter during our second term. Please turn to page 17. In our attempt to repair Sordland's economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We tried to cater to the needs of both businesses and Sword citizens. I guess. It's been a delicate balance. Thankfully, living standards are steadily increasing. That's good. That's the best thing he could have possibly told me. That makes me feel a lot better. We've been receiving fewer and fewer complaints about our welfare system. Thank goodness. If I've achieved that, then I'm happy. That's a good thing to hear. I'm feeling okay about that. That's great. For our election prospects, I mean. Exactly. Some of our industries have also been knocked down to their knees by recent taxations. The demand for these goods has decreased drastically, which led businesses in these industries being shut down. Knocked to their knees, demand for these goods is decreased. Led to businesses being shut down. I see. Some people are calling the government out for infringing on their personal liberty. Apparently, some even filed lawsuits saying the taxes violate their human dignity. Their lawyers argued for them that they need it for mental health treatment. Sure. Now to page 34. Wait, weren't we on page 34? 17. My bad. Production in our country has nearly doubled since the start of our administration. It's a great success. Oh, thank goodness. That's good. I couldn't have asked for more. Good work. You're a wizard, Simon. Teamwork makes it happen. Moving on to logistics. We have an infrastructure problem, and the economy truly won't flourish until we've solved it. We need to make new roads and improve the existing ones. People and businesses alike have been complaining. Smoother commutes, easier access, faster delivery times would help everyone out. We are very close to the end. I want to talk about a few numbers. Please turn to page 57. I have prepared a chart. Our inflation rate is currently a staggering 49%. Oh, no. That's 5 times higher. That's really bad. I mean, it's not Weimar Germany, but it's really bad. Yeah, Sordland's gonna look like Greece real soon. Our inflation rate is currently at a staggering 49%, way up from 10%. It might be the highest in Sordland's history. Oh boy. The Sordland rent has been fluctuating wildly as a result, and consumer prices have gone up, which means Sordland citizens are angry at us. We need to fix this. There's nothing more important than the well-being of our citizens. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? What is our debt situation? Our current debt is at 611 billion SR, up from 427 billion SR at the beginning of our term. Honestly, it's impressive. The only time I get numbers like these are when I print money with the central bank. Oh, that's good to know. Glad we're doing 50-50 on this one. This debt is due to government borrowing and the interest on our previous debts. Yeah. I screwed that. I thought the investment synergies would have been worth the long-term gain, and I think that would have been completely accurate if it weren't for the trade war. The trade war completely, baseball straight to the kneecap our economy. As a result, our government's budget has decreased substantially. Due to our reckless spending in the first term, I'm sorry to say we have entered a debt crisis. According to my calculation, we won't be able to pay up our government debt without assistance of a third party. It has even disrupted fundings to our welfare plans. Some construction projects and programs need to be put on hold because of that. Damn. That's really bad. Sordland is about to get that Zimbabwean grease treatment. Yep. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, this is so bad. How are we doing with unemployment? The unemployment rate's steady at 16%. Thank goodness. That could have been way worse. Stagnation is mostly due to the lack of investments and average economic planning. I think my economic planning was pretty fucking great, to be honest, but can't help a trade war. What are the latest numbers on our GDP? Our current GDP is 141 billion Suzerain, a major decrease from the 310 we had at the beginning of our term. That's less than half. As per the latest stats, the economy shrank 18% in the last 4 years on average. In short, we were suffering from a decreased economical capacity. Damn. Those are all the questions I had. Very well. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. My numbers indicate that overall we've generously spending our government budget. Money that's not spent is just pieces of paper, so that's good for us. Now going into the elections and hopefully a second term, we're not getting a second term. We need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear, we need a bigger budget. We shouldn't start our next term with a budget deficit. What should we do next, Mr. President? Any ideas? Sordland is so cooked. Yeah, we're cooked. We're completely cooked. Unless Arcasia bails us out substantially. Frankly, they might. They have the money for it. Fuck, do we take an international loan? Same thing, same fate. Yep. Might as well. I think we should. I mean, obviously, I don't want to rely on the MFI. I don't at all. But if we can pay off about 2 billion of the debt, then we have more money. That's less money in interest. And I think if the economy picks up with both investments from Arcasia and the, overall recovery of everything, decrease public opinion. We have no public opinion. There is no public opinion. Everybody hates us. Everybody already hates us. I want to do as best as I can for the economy. I think paying off some of our interest in a big, convenient loan is probably the best move here. Because again, the higher the interest rate, the worse off we are. I think long term we can get it. This is why I generally take control of the central bank to not rely on the MFI. Also, I like centralization. Yeah, me too, but that was just not an option in this particular playthrough. But yeah, I think centralizing the central bank is a good move, frankly. Just in general, to be honest. Yeah, take the loan. This will pose quite a risk to the reputation of our administration, but it can be done. I'll get right on it after this meeting. Now that that's out of the way, during our first term, we faced many challenges in the midst of the recession. We have worked hard to fight against the odds, but it was not enough. Simon paused to wipe his glasses. He swallowed before continuing. Mr. President, you may have surmised from the numbers I have given you that the economy has worsened considerably over the course of our administration. I want to prepare you for the truth. This is no longer a mere recession. We have entered a period that historians might reasonably refer to as the Sordish Great Depression. We have broken our promises and failed our people. My only hope is that future generations will be able to forgive us when they look back. We have done all we could. Now is the time to look for the future and try to fix our mistakes. Bro ain't gonna get a second term. We're not. No chance. No chance. I'm gonna be lucky to end this term a free man. We're not getting a second term. If I stay out of jail, this will be a success. Or if the military overthrows us, that might also happen. That would be worse. I hope the military doesn't overthrow us. Yes, some things can't be undone, but for the economy, at least, there's still hope. We will get through this together. Did you decrease military budget? Yep. And I transferred the gendarmerie. So we're screwed. Yeah, we're cooked. I'm cooked. At least I've taken out the oligarchs, though, so that's nice. That's a small win. That is all for our meeting today. Thank you for coming. The meeting dispersed. I hurried to the cafeteria to get a cup of coffee. Okay, you're gonna get cooed. Yeah. Oh no, you're done, Gray. Yeah, I know. I know. It's over. I don't know. I don't think there's anything I can do. I think I haven't rescued the economy, not by any means, but like, better to be in this situation with Arcasia backing us than in this situation on our own. I'll say that much. Alfonso Foundation expands reach to Anrica and Arcasia. Cool. Anrica's maritime might. Nuclear-powered vessels. Interesting. Economic stagnation in Gruni. Yep. Amnesty given to thousands, together with the revocation of the ban of the BFP and subsequent amnesty. 6,000, oh wow, 6,000 people who were arrested in 1930s and 40s for their ties to British Freedom Front have now been released. Great. Next time, go to war. 100% second term if win. If we win. We were not going to win. Even with Lesbia's help, there's no shot. 72 high-profile British political prisoners who were being held up in maximum security in Antel Rock were also released. Good. British Freedom Party starts campaigning. Okay, cool. What does this mean for the British Workers' Party, though? Do they just integrate? NFP welcomes General Darren's son. Piece of shit. PFJP Richter's slogan, victory for everyone. Hey, honestly, I'd rather the PFJP take control of this rather than the NFP. Honestly, I'll take it. Tons of salmon left rotting in storage. That's unfortunate. Morbel soon to be a ghost town. Jeez. Increased crime and racial violence plague Sarna. Oh, this is so cooked. Very low public opinion. 20% of respondents expressing support. Voicing strong disapproval. Can we just resign? They split votes between the WPB and VFP. Really? That seems like a really stupid idea. I feel like they would be a lot stronger by just combining their forces. No one's winning, dog. Yeah, no one's winning here. Nobody wins. Retire. Yeah, I plan to. Well, I plan to retire if I'm not arrested. If I'm not arrested, then I'll retire. The current economic climate in Sordland has taken a severe downturn, leading to what's now being referred to as the Source Great Depression. Sharp rise in unemployment, coupled with steep decline in gross domestic product, underscores the gravity of the situation. Prevailing concerns about government overspending have further aggravated the crisis, giving rise to financial instability. Have to flee to Kairut or get cooed. Yep. Our nation will recover. Scheduled television interview. Sure, why not? Karanti will also reveal their deal to the ACP. Yeah, what recovery? Yeah, there is none. The only thing I can hope for is the ACP just paying off some of our debts, trying to get things back on track. But yeah, no, Karanti's gonna throw me to the fucking wolves after this. At least I've taken both Tusk and Karanti down. That's a small win. The makeup crew had just finished their preparations for the interview. Lucian stopped me on my way to the balcony of the Blue Mansion where the filming crew was standing ready. At least we can see how this ends. I'll be interested in that. Are you ready for the interview, sir? Yes. Good. I've done my best to make this happen. This is very important for our administration. The crew is preparing to start filming. Mr. Sacker is excited to interview you. As I explained before, it would be bad press to decline this offer. They are the most prestigious interview program in the world. And they're from Kairut. The country is known for its neutrality. I don't think there will be too much pressure. I hope so, Lucian. I walked to the balcony and sat on the seat prepared for me, directly across from Mr. Sacker. Did you join Operation Bear Trap? Nope, I didn't make any deal with Velen. That's why Lesbia was, bought my coal at, a pretty good price, frankly. Mr. President, welcome to One-on-One. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Let us begin with the latest incident between Sordland and Rumburg. An aircraft of the Sorsh Air Forces was shot down by Rumburgian anti-air guns a few weeks ago. Officials from the Rumburgian government proclaimed that the aircraft was flying inside airspace of Rumburg. Be peaceful. Honestly, I'm okay with being more aggressive here. We've got the backing of the ATO. No one's going to move against us. So, I might go all in. But we'll see. Your government has been silent, apart from a few statements which claim that your plane was indeed in Sordish airspace when it was shot down. Do you believe the Rumburgian forces initiated an intentional attack? It can kick Rumburg for Omek. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been very, very diplomatic with Rumburg the entire time, but I also accepted the agent, the whistleblower. So, frankly, I've been very peaceful. So if I'm a slightly more aggressive here, I think I'm okay. But we'll see. Okay, I'm not going with 3. That's way too aggressive. We have reason to believe that, yes, Rumburg has been increasingly aggressive over the past few years. I don't want to think that they attacked us intentionally. It must have been a mistake. Your childhood. You think the first option? Wouldn't you go with the second option because that'd be more peaceful? Because I'm between 1 and 2. I think these are both good. Yes for the first option? Frankly, yeah, I'm fine with this response. Accuse Rumburg of everything diplomatically. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because 1, we've got Arcasia on our side. 2, we can prove the nuclear weapons program based on Agent Hailstone. And 3, they can't come for us anyway. So if they're whether or not they're kicked out of Omek doesn't really matter, because if they declare war on us, they wouldn't really declare war on us. That wouldn't make any sense here. I think it'd be a really stupid move. Yeah. We have reason to believe that, yes, Rumburg has become increasingly aggressive over the last years. Does that mean there will be more hostilities on the horizon? I hope not. We are willing to do what it takes to avoid conflict. Do you believe that Queen Livingston shares the same sentiment? Yeah. I hope she does. We're willing to work together to achieve peace in Eastern Mokopa. This week, the Arcasian government has condemned Rumburg for their actions against Sordland. Now that Sordland is a member of the ATO, do you think that would deter Rumburg from creating a broader conflict? Yes, it will surely deter them from creating a war, but they will likely continue their harassments in other ways. Before we move on with that, I want to ask another topic. Not long ago, you claimed that a spy was discovered within your administration, and the alleged spy was none other than your own secretary. So some also claim that your secretary was involved in certain dealings with your vice president, which your administration didn't want getting out, so she became the scapegoat. What do you have to say about these accusations? It's all nonsense. We have evidence she was leaking sensitive information. Don't you think that you were partly to blame? She was your secretary. It was going on right under your nose. This is antagonistic. I don't like this at all. I don't like this one either. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just, I think I'm just gonna straighten up and say, to some extent, yes, all of our administration shares the responsibility for letting such a scandal take place. He didn't look like he was satisfied by my response. He stopped for a moment and took a brief look at his papers. Okay, let's return to your foreign policy. Let's talk about the ongoing conflict around the Helheland Islands. Sordland is not officially taking any sides between Agnolia and Vagsland. So far, you have refrained from making any statements about the conflict. According to reports from yesterday, the Vagslandian Navy has finally attacked the Agnolian fleet at Helheland Island. Today, Prime Minister Van Horten confirmed the invasion. He said Vagslandian troops have landed on the island. So here's my question. What is Sordland's role in all of this, and what will it be going forward? We stand with the people of Helheland. What does that mean, Mr. President? It means we only support the people of Helheland, not the governments or their war machines. Would Sordland also get involved if the situation gets out of control? As a peacekeeping force, yes. We can't let the Marquian Sea turn into a war zone. Okay, let's move on to another topic. Last year, a huge conflict took place close to the borders with Velhend. When the Bezhek forces partook in the massacre of British civilians under the guise of eliminating the British Freedom Front, Sordland decided to stay out of the conflict. In fact, many refugees fleeing from the massacre came to Sordland. Knowing that Sordland also had its trouble with the British independence movement, how did Sordland cope with the influx of British refugees coming in from Velhend? I don't understand the question. The British movement has nothing to do with this. They could have been swords or Vejeks as well. First of all, they are human beings. The world has been watching this humanitarian crisis with the utmost attention, and I have to give you credit for allowing these people to enter Sordland. Unlike your neighbor Lesbia, Sordland took this responsibility. Do you feel the burden for being the only country who opened their borders to refugees? Definitely not two. That's just not a good move. I don't care for the third answer. To some extent, but we can't complain. In an ideal world, all surrounding nations would take the responsibility, but Sordland stands alone yet again. Good night, Luce. Take care of yourself. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I understand. Can you say with certainty that these refugees can adapt and find a better life in Sordland? Can you say with certainty that these refugees can adapt and find a better life in Sordland? Yes, I genuinely believe that. But how about, on the gesture of the director, he stopped before finishing his sentence. Well, it seems that's all the time we have for today. You're a politician, you lie. Yeah, that is true, but I think going for the sincere option is better here. And in general, honestly, don't lie when you don't need to. And if you have to lie, at least use words that get you out of it. Check Geopolitico. Oh boy. The director shouted at the crew to stop recording. We both stood up and shook hands. Thank you for your valuable time, Mr. President. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for coming to Sordland. I hope to interview you again in the future. Lucian walked up to the director and started talking to him. I went inside the building. All right. Organized crime contained. Wait, why is this a yellow modifier? Furthermore, police have collaborated with other law enforcement agencies and international partners, share information. Should this be green? Whatever. Geopolitico, what we got? Vagsland occupies Helheland. Oh, no. Ooh, that's bad. This morning, Vagslandian forces have occupied Helheland with only a small amount of casualties when the forces of Helheland surrendered after the invasion that was executed yesterday. After the surrender, Chancellor Hegel had reclaimed Helheland as part of Vagsland and described the events as a triumph of freedom and a reversal of historical injustices. Agnolian leader Van Horten condemned the invasion and the AN for leaving Agnolia alone and not interfering. This was a drastic first step of Exandian and Millennialist intervention in Eastern Mokopa, and I'm warning those who allowed them to do this. This is how liberty dies. Resorts to MFI loans, neck deep in mud. Tell me about it. People's Front. Yeah, makes sense. FC Anrica. New Politics. Reliant on foreign aid. Yeah. 3 billion rent. And you failed at kicking them out of OMEC. You forgot to sign military alliance with Magnolia. I didn't forget. I just didn't. But maybe I should have. Granted, our military was still anemic, so no reason. It didn't make much sense to try and defend them here. This is very unfortunate, though. Mansoon becomes new Workers' Party Oblidia leader. Cool. Mansoon might return to WPP to fill Ehel's role. Controversial PR visit. Outcry against the unpopular president. Violent protests feared to be imminent. City is deeply unhappy with the president's term. Already calls for resignation. Yeah. Yeah, I think Oh. Poisoned by a nerve agent. Hospitalized in serious condition. Oh my god. That's fucked. Lesbia raises alert over Ravnos Island. Oh god damn it, not another problem. Ugh. Bullish opinion high. That's cool, I guess. The most normal day in Sordland. Yeah, true. For the first time in Sword's history, the Bullish people have come out in support of the sitting president. Thanks to President Rain's policies and actions during his first term, sentiment for the president in Dire have been incredibly high. The young swords are amazing. Cringe opinion. Huge rise in Workers' Party ability popularity. Cool. Yeah. So, that ends that. Ah, fuck. The historic Graf Manor lay on the outskirts of Arbury. At the end of the long, winding drive, nearly 2 centuries old, it was as formidable as Lilias herself. Lilias had invited me here for a private dinner, just the two of us. I wasn't sure of her motivations, but was happy to have an excuse to escape the chaos back in Holzord. She'll betray you. Yeah, I know. Sarah dropped me off at the door. Knock. I used the heavy brass door knocker to signal my arrival. The butler answered and showed me into the parlor. I mean, of course she would, right? I've been nothing but antagonistic towards the Conservatives the entire time. There's no reason she wouldn't betray me. This is common. I've seen this every time, actually. Gas lanterns lent the wood-paneled room a cozy orange glow. Lilias was sitting at the sofa. Above her hung a nearly life-size portrait of a sallow, unhappy-looking young woman in a lace ball gown. Is that your mother? Lilias nodded. I was her only child, you know. Giving birth to me left her medically unable to conceive. My father never could forgive her for not bearing him a son, and she never forgave me. She took a measured sip of one of the 2 glasses of sparkling wine she was holding, and handed me the other. Sounds like a painful childhood. The silver lining is that despite personally despising me, they felt compelled to grant me all the advantages a son would have had, including the education I needed to rise to my current position. Would you be so kind as to tell me why you invited me over? Given how your wife spends her time these days, I thought you would be in need of a home-cooked supper. The butler silently stepped into the parlor and rang a silver bell. Ah, speaking of which. She led me into the dining room, where a glittery chandelier hung from the high ceiling. Beneath it was a table set for 2. A woman in an apron and a chef's hat, Vezhik by her appearance, ceremoniously presented a roast rack of venison. Smells delicious. The groundskeeper shot it this morning. Lilias bowed her head and said a quick prayer, then motioned for me to take in. It was some of the best meat I'd ever had. We ate in silence for a while, then Lilias pensively laid down her cutlery. Anton, I want you to know that I have nothing but respect for you. Yeah. Yeah, she has some of my respect. I hate her guts, but she's worthy of some respect. I respect you too. But given certain developments that have occurred over the course of your term, I believe you are no longer fit to lead the United Sordland Party. Lilias took a deep breath. I wanted you to be the first to know that I myself will be running against you at the party congress. I suspected that might happen. Of course you did. You aren't stupid. Did you think I'd sit by as you made a mockery of this country's constitution? The very constitution that's keeping this nation safe from internal and external threats. Even if you weren't steering this party further and further from its roots, you're a disgrace to the good name of Tarkin's soul. I hate all of these options. These all suck. I would just say, understood, and stand up and leave. But, well, you're fired. A little late for that. I'm doing you the courtesy tonight. I didn't want to surprise you at the Congress. And I wanted to give you some time to consider backing me. Sorry, Lilith. Can't back down now. I'm not backing a staunch conservative. Absolutely fucking not. Sorry, Lilith. I can't back down now. I understand. I'll tender my official resignations once we're both back in Holzard. I rose from my chair. I'll take my leave. Thanks for the evening, nonetheless. I'll have the butler show you out. She stayed seated as her butler gently led me outside. As Serge and I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw her silhouette in the doorway. So I was being challenged from within my own party. At least Lilith wouldn't pose much of a threat. Or so I hoped. Oh, she's a huge threat here. Wait a minute. Oh. There's another part. Well, I did call this the grand finale, so I'm gonna see this through a bit further. Sordland's Minister of Defense, Joseph Lancia, is reporting that they received supplies and new aircraft from ATO. Cool. That's nice. Minister of Interior Graf resigns. Graf throws in the towel. Yeah. All right. We march on. Will of the state. I hoped this would go better, but I expected it to go about this badly. ATO influence. Sordland's new energy market influx. Yeah, that's not great. That's not what I want at all. World leaders to gather at Alliance of Nations. Schedule for the Alliance of Nations session. We've received a schedule for the upcoming Alliance of Nations session. According to the dates outlined, Sordland 1 is being prepared for a flight to Constantinum, Kairut. Correct. It will be shit. Yeah. Well, don't let a crisis get in the way of a good football game. Today, the management of FC Anrika invited me to attend the pivotal football match. At Lucian's urging, I accepted. The team was representing Sordland in the international arena. According to Lucian, it would have been unpresidential for me to not put in an appearance. FC Anrika was finally the Merkopen Champions Cup, the most prestigious football tournament in the world. For the first time ever, a Source team had managed to qualify for the knockout phase. For the record, by the way, I do want to point out, this was my very first free market run. I'd only done planned economies before this, aside from my first game, but that didn't go great. Let's not talk about that one. But this was very fun. So, I've got that. Millions of Swordfish people were waiting to watch FC Anrika compete against the legendary Retian team Real Monteclar. Yeah. Despite all odds being stacked against them, the mood was full of hope. A win today would bring Anrika to the quarterfinals, a feat that no Source team had ever managed to achieve. How worse than this? Much worse. Much worse. Like, unemployment was up, the debt was out of control, the GDP was in the toilet, we weren't in a faction, we prevented a war. That's something. But, yeah, it was a very bad first run. Learning experience, though. How? Learning the game, and 1, learning the game, 2, trying to figure out how everything worked, 3, just bad understanding of what was going on. But that first game got me into this series, so hey, I'm not complaining. Fantastic game. So glad to still be here. Playing it, I mean. Well, in general, too. A win today would bring Anrika to the quarterfinals, a feat that no Source team had ever managed to achieve. This is not a game you can win on your first run. Yeah, no kidding. Unless you're like Lucian playing this game for the first time. Think, how do I do this? And of course, all presidents of Sordland, current and former, were invited to watch this historic competition. Good game. Shit skill. Hmm. I think, okay, you know what? Yeah, great game, shit skill. I think, yeah, I do think you need to have a lot of skill to play this game. Absolutely. At least to do well on your first shot. But I think this game has a very, very steep learning curve. But once you get it, actually, even when you get it, you know, you can still like be playing a perfectly good game and then just get a baseball bat to the back of your head with something you didn't expect. Yeah. And of course, yeah, historic competition. I was told that both Tarkansol and Edval Alfonso would be joining me in the lounge reserved for us. How are you feeling, sir? I'm fine, Lucian. Thank you. We made our way towards the Maroon Stadium. The arena was situated in one of the most crowded quarters of Anrica, surrounded by dense urban development. As we wound our way through the streets, I noticed the name of Tarkansol everywhere. Since I'd last been here, markets, restaurants, and even pubs named after the colonel had popped up. Am I imagining things, or did we just pass a pub called Alcasol? I'm afraid we did, sir. I've heard it is part of a campaign for an ad campaign for Anrica, an attempt to draw tourists, or at least Solist ones, to the city. Sol's legacy still lives on for millions, after all. Lucian's pocket radio crackled. After responding, he turned to me. Sir, the security gave us the clear and informed us that Tarkansol has already arrived at the lounge. Good luck. I know he's quite the imposing presence. Please, follow the guards to the top floor. You will be seated in the VIP lounge. Any advice before I leave? You know the guests of honor more than I do, sir. If all else fails, just focus on the match. Shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, please be people no matter what. Lie. Yes. Don't worry. I plan to, at the very least, I hope to make it out of this administration without a war. Well, one fewer war. Even just the fact that you're here will surely help our campaign. Our campaign image is dead, Lucian. Let it go. I hope so, Lucian. I followed the security. We entered beneath a giant sign that read, Welcome to the Hall of Martyrs. The corridors inside were painted almost completely in maroon. Adorning them were various depictions of the Surge Goat and numerous jerseys, awards, and team photographs. Exposed Runeberg. Yeah, I plan to. On our way up, I was greeted by the president of the club. Beaming with pride, he immediately shook my hand. Behind him, Mayor Curtin Lest Gus Manger were waiting to greet me as well. All of them had FC Anrica pins attached to their collars. Welcome to Anrica, Mr. President. You're always welcome in Anrica. It's great to see you show your support in person. Thanks for being here. This match means a lot for all of us Anricans. And all of Sordland. Never before has a Swordfish team reached this stage in the Merkopen Cup. It's great to be here in Anrica. Thanks for coming. The president of the club walked in, handed us gift bags full of FC Anrica merch, and gave a speech stressing the importance of today's match. After delivering his best wishes, he kindly pointed us towards the lounge, which was surrounded by heavily armed men. Once I finally found myself inside, I was greeted by an amazing view of the entire pitch, through floor to ceiling windows. That sounds amazing, honestly. Tarkansol was already seated on the leather sofa, casting his hot white gaze out into the field. He did not react when I entered. It's good to see you here, Sol. Mr. Tarkansol leaned on his cane and turned his head to look at me. Mr. Rain, I didn't hear you come in. He smiled at me and gestured at the vacant spot beside him. Please, join me. I approached the sofa and sat next to him. I didn't expect you to show up today. It's heartening to see that you're a supporter of FC Anrica and Sword Sports. I could say the same for you, Mr. Sol. The corner of his mouth curled up mirthlessly. Tell me, is everything faring well after the defeat of your reforms, Mr. Rain? I may not have changed the Constitution, but I've done my best to reform Sordland in my own way. So I've seen. But at what expense? Yeah, fair enough. Despite all the warning signs, you adamantly followed your own pig-headed vision for Sordland. You continued on the path that Evald Alfonso started, obliterating our economy and throwing the nation into a quagmire of poverty and depression. And you were turning Sordland into a puppet for superpowers to play with. I never would have thought that I'd live to see Sordland invaded by imperialists, especially at the invitation of a Swordfish president. I'm warning you, Anton. The path you've chosen will only bring about exploitation and abuse. I understand your concerns, sir, but I beg to differ. In any case, none of that really matters anymore. All incompetent leaders get what's coming to them in the end. Yourself included. You failed, Sol. He is correct, to be honest. No, he's correct. Yeah, I screwed this up. This should have been a way better run. If the trade war didn't happen, this would have been, honestly, I think, been phenomenal. But he is correct. I have screwed this one. Again, I think my strategy was sound. But, again, with the trade war... Yeah, with the trade war, it was kind of... I should have adapted my strategy to the fact that the trade war happened. Instead, I'd hoped that continuing to invest in the economy would overall have brought the whole thing up and have gotten us out of the debt situation. I was severely wrong. Very, very wrong. Whatever you say, I respect you, Colonel. I wish we had some understanding. A sudden burst of cheering from the stadium made both of us look out the window. The players had begun walking out into the field. Look, Mr. Rain, it's starting. He pointed directly at a group of FC Anrika fans who stood up holding colored boards, creating a massive illustration of Tarkin's soul. Under the portrait, the bottom row of boards slowly revealed the words, "Welcome home, Colonel." Yeah, keep watching. He can give you his support even if Lilius runs against you. The man actually wants the best for Sordland. Yeah, I think Sol has a lot of problems, like very severe problems, and he screwed the country up a lot. And he has a lot of crimes that he deserves to, repent for. But I don't disrespect the man. It's not easy to both win a civil war and then be the president after. As if plastering my name everywhere in the city wasn't enough. I suppose I'm flattered. Another group of fans raised their boards to reveal a silhouette of the famous Hall of Warriors, a Markian-era architectural ruin in Anrika, with Tarkin's soul in front of it. As the players of Real Monteclar lined up in the middle of the field, FC Anrika fans started chanting, "We'll eat you whole for Colonel Soul." Not a bad slogan. Right after the referee signaled the start of the match, the door behind us closed with a thud. "Well, Colonel, how do you feel about being Anrika's new poster boy?" "It looks like it's working well for the city, and if you move back home, I'm sure you'd get free meals and drinks wherever you'd like." Evel Alfonso quickly walked to the sofa, shook our hands, and sat next to us, smiling as he did so. "Ha! I never had a strong connection to this place, Mr. Lest. Mr. Lest should have asked my permission before using my name to market his city." "Oh, it was actually Gus Manger's idea." "Well, I'm not surprised. He's full of ideas, your Mr. Manger, except when it comes to doing the job he's actually supposed to be doing. To reform soulism to serve the people of Sordland is the way I like to follow." Interesting. That's a potential future run. By the way, for the record, in spite of this catastrophic end, I will be playing more of this game. I love this game. There will be another playthrough. And, of course, a playthrough of the Kingdom of Rija, which I've never played. My first time playing the Kingdom of Rija will be on stream. That's going to be a lot of fun. No need to be so dismissive. Gus has proven himself time and time again. His work rejuvenated Sorge Industries, and without him, Anrika wouldn't be the city it is today. I do have plans for a dictator run. That won't happen next run, but it will happen soon. What did Gus do for Anrika? He invested heavily in the city and helped transform Anrika into a tourist destination. And he's the one who saw the potential in football. All the man's so-called accomplishments have been purely accidental. You say that, Mr. Sol, but Mr. Manger is a respectful professional who actually loves his country. More like an errand boy doing the bidding of those who line his pockets. He's not wrong. I don't intend to take on the role of his personal spokesman. Just then FC Anrika star midfielder made a breakaway down the field. The crowd erupted into cheers as the ball was passed from player to player, each touch bringing it closer to the goal. I have to play Rija too. Maybe the giveaway will bless me so I can remove the ads. Oh, you're playing on mobiles, Argos. Look, we're going to score. Too predictable. They won't make it past the other team's defense. As if on cue, Real Monteclar's defense made a crucial block, sending the ball back down the field. With your strategy skills, you should be a football coach, Colonel. Don't make me laugh. Alfonso turned to me. How are you, Mr. Rain? It's been a while since we last met. Is everything going well at the palace? Honestly, I'll be sincere here. Honestly, I'm worried. The country's showing signs of instability again. Yes, Mr. Rain. Search politics is getting complicated again. You have to be careful. Take on the responsibility for once, Mr. Rain. You've had the authority for 4 years. Again, it's not wrong. Granted, I am taking responsibility. Fuck you. Suddenly, a huge roar shook the stadium. The crowd was in a frenzy as FC Anarcha finally got the ball past the dominating region defenders. Considering that you've lost the support of the general staff, you seem too composed and calm, Mr. Rain. Well, as the president, I have to be. You know how it is, Mr. Former President. Just then, Monteclar midfielders executed an incredibly fast counterattack, scoring a goal that put them ahead in just a few seconds. The Sword side of the stadium completely fell silent. It's bad luck getting a top-tier region team as our opponent. Still applaud our guys for giving their best. Not even FC Gelzord has ever come this far in an international tournament. Yes, football is like politics. Sometimes it's all about luck. It's not about luck, it's about money. Ooh, that's true. That's true. Sadly, money is still the only thing you care about. The only noise that could be heard from the stadium was shouting from the region side. Monteclar. All eyes were glued to the scoreboard as the new score appeared. FC Anarcha 0, Real Monteclar 1. From that moment on, we turned our complete attention to the match in front of us. The region players kept dominating the field. The referee blew the whistle. It was halftime. That was rough. We heard a noise from above us. A zeppelin was flying over the stadium with a giant poster hanging beneath it. I noticed it's an advertisement for the Alfonso Foundation. At the center of the poster stood Evald Alfonso, portrayed with a warm smile and a twinkle in his eye. In his outstretched hand, he held a whimsical compass, glowing with a soft golden light. Surrounding him were people from all walks of life and cultures. The tagline, written in elegant and uplifting typography, was prominently displayed at the bottom. Alfonso Foundation, bringing hope to those in need, one act of kindness at a time. How cute. I'm not gonna comment. This is ridiculous, by the way. But just then, the speakers in the stadium started playing a sound recording at full volume. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you a message from the Alfonso Foundation dedicated to spreading kindness and hope to the less fortunate. Picture a Sordland where compassion shines brighter than the stars in the night sky, where the power of generosity uplifts and those who need it the most. That Sordland can exist thanks to the Alfonso Foundation. Led by the charismatic and esteemed President Evald Alfonso, this foundation is on a mission to make a difference in the lives of our fellow citizens, one act of kindness at a time. You call this kindness? Every shortest rent you donate to the Alfonso Foundation helps us provide shelter, food, and a chance for a brighter future to those without a home, without hope. Thanks to the donations of President Evald Alfonso and thousands of Source citizens, the Alfonso Foundation has already lifted hundreds out of homelessness. A couple hundred people? Congratulations to you both. This is how Sordland will eradicate poverty. Won't you join us in this noble endeavor? Just call the number 1-800-1600-ALFONSO to make your contribution today. Your support will help us extend a helping hand to those in need. The recording ended with a few seconds of upbeat, jazzy background music that slowly faded out. What the hell is that? What's wrong? Alfonso, are you not ashamed? Instead of planning a proper, affordable housing program, you're spending your time with crap like this. I'm with Soul here. Is this your way out of personal redemption? Spending a few ren out of your billions and portraying yourself as their savior? He has billions? Jeez. Unlike you, Mr. Soul, I'm not portraying myself as a hero here. I retired from politics just like you did. And I'm now using my clout to help the poor. What's so wrong about this? You know, I never called myself a hero, Evald. It was my supporters who portrayed me as one. Don't spin the truth. Maybe they didn't have any other choice back then. Yeah, I have nothing to comment here. Yeah, Soul's correct here. Absolutely. I kept listening. Are you still sore about the party giving you a hard time after I left? Admit it, Evald. You never could accept being a less popular leader. You hated living under the shadow of what I built. It's true. I did hate working inside your shadow empire. But I succeeded in dismantling a lot of those obstacles you laid out for me, and opened the way for reforms. But you never let the party go free. So it was I who controlled each and every member. That was behind every problem you face within the USP. Do you really believe that? Even though Sol's a literal dictator, he's got a point. Yeah, I agree. Sol was absolutely a dictator, no question about it, but I think he's got a point. You're the founder of the party, Mr. Sol. Don't even try to deny your influence over it. I still remember how the party became divided after you stopped supporting me. It's on them for being blind to the progress we were making. I'm just going to keep listening, to be honest. Instead of blaming the party, why don't you take a look at yourself? The same party voted me out on their own volition, in preference of you. According to you, the only correct decision must have been to elect you as leader, and the rest are completely wrong. Do you think everything is a problem that's specifically created to block you? Take a look at yourself. You're the personification of everything you're trying to criticize. You have a point, Mr. Sol, but don't act like you're above all of us. He waved a dismissive hand as if to brush away the notion. Suddenly we turned our heads to the field as a massive roar shook the stadium. The second half was already in full swing as the American players that were aggressively attacking, weaving in and out of defenders with speed. Suddenly the ball was kicked to the famous sword striker, Hakonslater, who was in front of the goal. I noticed Sol shifting in his seat, his gaze suddenly locked on the field. Thanks, Sol got that dog in him. Yeah. In the mind of Alfonso, probably privatization. Yeah. The Source crowd went crazy as Zlater's powerful shot brought the ball back to the back of the region net. Yes! Eval jumped from his seat. And money. Very true. Suddenly, the cheering was interrupted by the linesman raising the flag, making an offside call. Bullshit! That wasn't an offside. No comment. I don't know anything about football. I have nothing to say here. Halt your endless bickering. The linesman made the right call. The angle was all wrong. A decision like that shouldn't be made without proper evaluation. What next? You're going to install cameras and analyze every position from different angles? The excitement in the stadium reached a fever pitch as the sword striker drove the ball past two defenders and took a shot at the goal again. The crowd held its breath as the ball sailed through the air, but the Monteclair goalkeeper made a miraculous save. Damn, that was close. He suddenly pointed to a group of people who were holding signs in the front row. Did you see that? It was a group of Americans who were holding signs that read, "Soldiers, leave your barracks. Colonel's home is in need." VAR reference. What's VAR? They need to be arrested for putting up such signs. How liberal of you, Evaldo. These are some very dangerous signs. How are they even allowed with them inside with them? To be fair, this type of statements are not that uncommon in America. Home of the Colonel, remember? Suddenly a wave of shouting made us focus back on the field. An American player was shown a yellow card. Maybe dictatorship is good. With only a few minutes left on the clock, it looked as though the match would end with 1-0 loss for FC America. But suddenly everything changed. Number 10 of Real Monteclair dribbled expertly towards the goal and effortlessly scored as American defenders watched him in shock. I knew it. Excuse me. We watched in silence as the scoreboard was modified to display FC America 0, Real Monteclair 2. The region side broke into massive applause as the referee blew the final whistle. Well then, that settles it. We should go down and console the boys. We left the lounge and went downstairs to congratulate the team for their efforts. That was interesting. Heartbreak for FC America. Yeah. All right. Did you invest in FC America? No, I lost all my money in the trade war. That was the first sign of disaster. It's a system of cameras made for football to analyze things like players to advanced and hand touches and such. I think it was first introduced in the 2018 World Cup, if I remember correctly. Very interesting. That's very cool. Thank you for the tidbit. All right. It's all down to this. Let's do it, everybody. Alliance of Nations Assembly Meeting. Sordland 1. Flight to Kairout. I, David Vichy, and the rest of the Source delegation of the Alliance of Nations arrived in Kairout. The local police escorted us to the Alliance's headquarters in downtown Constantium, immediately recognizable by its gleaming dome. Next time don't spend too much. I'm assuming you mean next time don't spend too much money at the store. And yes, you're completely correct. I invested in healthcare, anti-corruption, and education, and I ended up being over the line, and I think it was a good decision. Well, sorry, I don't think it was a good decision, but I think spending in those areas was smart. I think it was good, but I did spend too much and triggered a trade war. Economic instability and all that. It was an overzealous move on my part. On entering the building, we were met by a parliamentary guide who briefed us about the procedures. After a strict security screening, the staff ushered us to the 3rd floor. We entered the massive circular assembly hall and took our designated seats. David sat next to me. All of the world's most powerful people under one gleaming dome. It's amazing how someone has managed to fill a room with people that absolutely loathe each other. So I tax everything and everyone. Might have been a good move in this case. It is truly astounding. Humanity has come far. How are you feeling, Anton? Being the subject of so much media attention must take a toll on you and the family. We knew that changing Sordland would be hard, but we could have never expected it to be this way. It's tough to be the president, making harsh decisions and dealing with the consequences. I wish I could have supported you more, but time has been a cruel mistress. What you have done so far is more than enough. Don't treat yourself so harshly. From a distance, we could see the president of the General Assembly, Mr. Nines, approaching his designated position. Well, the session is about to start. Let's get comfortable. It's going to be a long day. Mr. Nines opened the session with a short speech and called the first speaker to the floor. It is my great pleasure to invite Prime Minister of Lesbia to address the assembly. It's gonna be a tax for that. Nice oversimplified reference. Patricio Alvarez stood and walked to the podium as the assembly applauded. Mr. President, it is my pleasure to return to this podium. David leaned in and spoke in a low voice. See how crazy this year's session will get. I'm surprised he isn't drunk. David chuckled. When I last spoke here, the message I gave was of encouragement and support to this organization and the vital role it plays. Of all the challenges Eastern Macopa and the whole world has faced since then, one has grown larger and more imminent than any other. The threat of so-called socialist states and the actions taken by their authoritarian rulers with no regard to international law. A loud noise came from the table of Vagsland. I saw Emmerich Hegel pounding his fists on the table in protest. Looks like the Chancellor is already mad. David nodded. Today, the need to come together as the leaders of the free world is more important than ever. The CSP, under the leadership of United Contana, has been fueling Vagsland's military-industrial complex and its expansionist aims in eastern Mercopa. The world turned a blind eye when the armies of Vagsland occupied Helheland, and they did not stop there. According to our intelligence reports, United Contana made nuclear missiles were quickly deployed to the island. He pulled out a photograph. Even though it was hard to see from my position, I recognized it as an aerial image of Helheland. We demand that the Chancellor speak the truth. As you can all see, we have evidence of the construction of silos. Shit, this is huge. That's true, it's a threat to all of us. I didn't expect them to be so quick after their operation. David looked concerned. No Eastern Macopan nation can accept the installation of weapons of mass destruction in the middle of our Markian Sea. Emmerich Hegel stood up and kept pounding his fists. We hereby call for the immediate dismantling and withdrawal of all missiles and other offensive weapons from Helheland. We invite all the member states to support our call for a resolution in accordance with Article 11 of the Falenco Treaty. A lot of noise came from the assembly hall in response. Most of the Western Mercopan delegates were clapping, while others either shouted in protest or sat in stony silence. Let us not forget about the recent events that transpired in another state with socialist teachings. A state that wages war against its own innocent citizens. Velen. Dude, you didn't even take in refugees, you piece of shit. Velen is not even socialist. Strictly speaking, Smolik's party is called the Vejek Nationalist Party of Nurist Socialism. Their purge of the minorities in their country was, again, largely ignored by the international community, including you, you dick. I would go as far as to call it a genocide. Velen violated our past treaties and mobilized their armed forces, deploying them closer to our borders and authorizing them to partake in massacres. Lesbia was affected not only by the large wave of refugees coming from Velen, but by the subsequent government seizure of all of our companies that were active in the country. We hereby call the member states to action against Velen and its rogue government. Agreed. Soul is much better than this guy. Thank you. Do I clap? No. Yeah, no. He walked back to his seat amidst enthusiastic applause from most of the Merkopan delegates. President Nines waited for the noise to calm down and invited the next speaker, the president of Velen, Victor Smolak. Smolak stood up as he walked past Patricio Alvarez. He brushed him aside with an exaggerated sweep of his arms. When he reached the podium, he fumbled with the microphone for a few seconds. Then he smiled at Alvarez mockingly as he raised the height of it. Victor's a funny guy. Look at all the theatrics. Yes, that's him. Victor turned to President Nines and bowed slightly. Mr. President. He then turned back at us and stared out into the hall for a few seconds. Fellow delegates, it is true that the world today faces a multitude of challenges. In the midst of these challenges, the world's most powerful leaders gather here in Kirut. And what do? They make threats, promote hate, and spread lies. In this alliance of nations we all want, where is the cooperation and friendship? Where is the unity? Yes, a murderous comedian. I want to remind you of the wars that the West fought on our soil, of the foreign troops who occupied our country and seized our valuable resources. I want to remind you how they stole the oil from our sacred soil, and they did not know where to stop. Oh, this is correct. Yeah, what he's saying here, he's spot on with this. He's not wrong here. He's a piece of garbage and an awful dictator, who participated in a genocide actively, but he is correct with these statements. The ATO soldiers left, but their interference never ceased. They financed armed rebel groups whose only purpose was to create terror inside of our country. So fellow delegates, don't you dare speak about Velen before you acknowledge your involvement in our civil war, before you acknowledge your own dark past. He's not entirely wrong. It's true, the Western powers had their hands in the Velen Civil War, but doesn't justify what they did to the British. That's true. As is well known, after the tremendous tragedy of the Velen Civil War, Arcasia made a deal with United Contano, where they agreed upon the withdrawal of their troops, along with the removal of half of our army. Not only did they weaken us, we were left alone in facing the genocidal Bullish freedom. Yeah, there's the twist. You know, when you're committing a genocide, you accuse the other side of being genocidal, so you can justify the genocide against them. Classic. Which the ATO funds together with Rumberg. Just like the delegate before me, I will show you some of the evidence of foreign interference. He picked up a large stack of papers and waved them back and forth. I have clear evidence of direct aid from Rumberg to the British Freedom Front. Smuggled tons of K-74s into Velen. They smuggled in their spies, smuggled in mercenary commanders. Keep listening. These documents will be published everywhere. Copies have already been sent to the investigative affairs of the Alliance of Nations. I expect this organization to do its task and investigate this properly, instead of leaving Velen behind, as they have always done. Coming back to the claims of the lesbian representative. First, there is no evidence of civilian massacres by the Vejek forces, nor the so-called purges of minorities. Second, the operation was limited only to the militant BFF, and not the Bloods in general. Third, we know your government is also implicated in the funding of the BFF, and that your oil companies aided their militants during the operation. Fourth, as the state, we only took what was ours. The companies the delegates spoke of were not only aiding militants, they were brought to Velen by force. Know that Velen will no longer recognize the right of any other country to determine what type of weapons we are permitted to possess or what type of policies we follow within our borders. Velen stands stronger and more united than ever. Our people have spoken. The enemies inside our borders are crushed. Now I ask every delegate here to read our report on the connections of the West with the armed militants in Eastern Mokopa, and I ask the Alliance of Nations to do what's right. Velen only wants peace. Our people want peace. They are counting on the support and understanding of all the nations of the world. Their proclamation is free Velen or death. The assembly roared with particularly loud applause coming from the seat of Rican nations. He seems to be popular with Rika, doesn't he? Well, he played the victim here pretty strongly, and his anti-imperialist stance has definitely earned him sympathy from Ricans. Most of that continent still not achieved stability after gaining their independence from their colonial suzerains. He said the name! It's easy to forget how it's only been a few years since the revolutions. Victor slowly walked back to his seat as he applauded himself. He saluted the Rican delegates as he passed them. Next, President Ninez invited Martin van Horten to the podium. He walked up to the microphone with quick steps. He was frowning and clenching his fists. I could almost see his jaw trembling. He looks pissed. Can you blame him? Vagsland just occupied Helluland. Mr. President, fellow delegates of the Assembly, and friends, it is an honor to be with you today. I wish we could meet under different circumstances. Once again, the CSP nations, and in particular Vagsland, have shown us what they are willing to do to achieve their political aims. I must sadly say, the world has left us alone. We were one of the first countries to propose proper cooperation among Eastern Mercopan nations. Yet, when we were threatened by Vagslandian expansionism, nobody came to our side. Although Mr. Alvarez voiced his indirect support for us earlier in today's section, I can't keep myself from wondering where he was when our lands were under invasion by the very socialists he spoke about. So here I am, asking for the support of the fellow member states of the Alliance of Nations. Agnolia is under attack by Vagsland. A loud banging noise emerged from the table of Vagslandian delegates. All of them were pounding their fists on their tables. Keep watching. You deserve it, Merce. Mr. President, please moderate the assembly. This is more than disrespectful. Emmerich Hagel began shouting curses at Emmerich Hagel began shouting curses as Ninez repeatedly banged his gavel for order. After a minute of back and forth shouting, the noise settled, and Ninez allowed Merton to continue. As you all know, Helluland, which has been a territory of Agnolia for the past 3 decades, was invaded by Vagsland in a sudden attack. He will throw his shoe if he can. Bush moment. Not only did they unlawfully occupy our island, they brought nuclear missiles to the island the moment our forces retreated. Oh yeah, no, I believe you. That'd be really funny to see. And objectively a Bush reference, which is very funny. Very much appreciate that from Torpor. Millennium's terror surrounds us on all sides. We must not falter. I invite all member states to find a resolution in accordance with Article 11 of the Franco Treaty, enforcing the immediate dismantling of all missiles on Helluland. I must also remind you that Article 3 of the Ventry City Treaty, the Alliance of Nations, must ensure the withdrawal of the occupying forces from the island. I call the democratic world to action against the tyranny of millennialism, authoritarianism, militarism, and extremism. The banging noise stirred again. Hegel stood up and approached Jolostrum. You are a spineless jerk, a lackey of Arcasian imperialism. President Ninez called for silence, started hitting the gavel. Keep listening. All of your complaints against us are a direct result of your capitalist and neocolonialist systems. President Ninez, please, what is this? President Ninez smacked his gavel in vain as a shouting match broke out in the assembly. Finally, after a few minutes, the other Vagslandian delegates convinced Hegel to sit back down. Maybe I should have spoken up here. I believe I don't need to speak more about this subject. Everything is clear as day. Mr. Hegel's actions speak volumes about the reality of Vagsland and their corrupted ideology. I hope to see this conflict resolved with the help of the Alliance of Nations soon. He quickly left the podium and nodded to the other Agnolian delegate. The two left the assembly hall. Gonna take a drink. All right. President Ninez announced the next speaker, Emmerich Hegel. Hegel immediately took his place and spoke in a low, seething tone. Thank you. David, buckle up. It's Chancellor's time now. Looks like you're having fun, Mr. President. First of all, I want to extend a due welcome to the new states from Rica that have joined this organization. After fighting for years against colonialism and imperialism, they more than earned our membership vote. I am overjoyed to see them finally represented in this assembly. As our numbers grow and more states are represented in this stage, we come ever closer to finding resolutions to the conflicts that plague us. For hundreds of years, the dominant economies of Maricopa raised, pillaged, and exploited the continents of Rica and Gina. Sadly, Vagsland was also a part of this plunder in the years before the revolution, when it still clung to the idea of imperialism. But when our masses found their voice, the old colonial powers and their new financiers turned against them. The powers did whatever they could to hamper our revolutions. They did not want the people to be heard. They are scared of us for showing the possibility of a better path. Of course they don't want us to succeed. We threaten the productivity that runs on the blood and sweat of their working class. And now they have started labeling us as the aggressors. Yet we all know it's the Arcasians who built up military bases all around Maricopa. It was the ATO that was the first form to fight against millennialism. He's kind of right. He's not completely wrong here. Helgoland is, and will be Vagslandian territory. Our intervention in the island was completely justified. Other delegates brought up their Flanco and Ventry City treaties. However, they are forgetting about the Treaty of Constantium. Vagsland exercised its right to intervene on behalf of our people, who were being oppressed and massacred by the Agnolian government just because they did not recognize an appointed governor. They didn't get to elect one. We acted in full accordance with the second article of the treaty. If there's a side to be blamed, it is the state of murderers and is a state which murders its minorities for publicly showing support to our nation. There were also claims about illegal missiles. No country in the world has the right to determine what types of weapons we import. If there's a conflict the Alliance can resolve, let's start with the Arcasian base on Ravnos Island. Lesbia has been housing Arcasian troops and missiles by our border for years, and none of the member states have even talked about it. I also want the member states to look into the Arcasian bases in both Lesbia and Sordland. Why he is the victim. He is the aggressor in this situation, no doubt about it. But part of the point, I think the point he made about basically Arcasia funding the counter-revolutions to prevent basically socialist idea from expanding, it's effectively true. He's not the victim here, not by any means. Actually, honestly, I don't think he's playing the victim here. I think he's being pretty aggressive about this. Because, like, he didn't even deny the missiles. He was just like, yeah, we have the right to do whatever the fuck we want. I think he's wrong in a lot of ways. But I don't think he's playing the victim here. Yeah. I also want the member states to look into the Arcasian bases in both Lesbia and Sordland. And if the Alliance of Nations truly claims to have the people's best interests at heart, they cannot stay silent about what the Agnolian government did in Helgoland, how they took away the rights of our people. Perhaps then, there can be a proper dialogue between our nations, and the Alliance of Nations can finally demonstrate that it can serve its intended purpose. But unfortunately, the Alliance of Nations remains all too willing to overlook such human rights violations. However, the Vagslandian government is ready, as always, to fight the forces of oppression and colonial servitude on behalf of free people everywhere. He raised his left fist. A Morgna Wes Core. Was that Sordish? Did I catch that right? He said the revolution will come. Yes, but it was an old Vagish. Ah. Very similar to Sordish, right? Some words are even written the same way, but I'm surprised you caught that from his accent. Most of the delegates from Xena, Rica, and Contana responded with thunderous applause. Hegel shook hands with them as he walked back to his seat. Oh, great. Here we go. President Nunez announced the next speaker, Queen Beatrice Livingston. Dear President of the Assembly, dear delegates, dear leaders of the world. Just as my fellow Eastern Maricopan delegates spoke about the troubles plaguing our continent, that hag. Yeah. I also have to bring attention to the plight of the people of the North. The Alliance of Nations, the ATO, the CSP, and even the OMEC have never supported our people when they've been through tragic atrocities. Unlike many of the Western countries here, we never received financial aid when natural disasters struck our lands.
I like him. He gets drunk with you rather than meet you drunk. Yeah, actually, that's pretty spot on, actually. He literally is the freaking aggressor, more pain in the ass than lesbian in Vexland. Oh, yeah. You mean Beatrice? Yeah, absolutely. The pain of our people was never recognized, not even when they faced threats of genocide by the hands of... Now she's playing the victim. This is full playing the victim. Like, I don't think Hegel was playing the victim. She absolutely is. In light of all that, I implore this alliance to take a closer look at the actions of our southern neighbors. They took in traitors and gave them protection. The president himself came to power amid murder and unrest. The fuck? Unless you mean Seoul. Yet people from his administration had the guts to blame our government for inciting violence, and they expect the world to believe their lies. Velen does it, yeah, and she sucks at playing the victim. Velen does it great. Yeah, that's true. She's pretty bad at doing this. Velen did a pretty good job of it. If you win a war, you can give him a middle finger. No joke. Nice. I do need to do a war run. I have one planned, actually. I'm looking forward to that. And they expect the world to believe their lies. That hag. Let's hear her out first. I hereby invite all of you to determine the initiation of a proper intergovernmental investigation into Sordland. If the Alliance continues to shirk its given duties, you can trust in Rumburg to take matters into her own hands. It is also important to point out that Rumburg would not stand idly by if more Arcasian military are transferred to Eastern Makopa. I hereby condemn both the ATO and Sordland for Arcasia to settle in our region. Before I finish, I also want to say, Mrs. Smolek, I'm looking forward to reading your report. I wonder what this so-called evidence is all about. Know that your slander does not work on us. Know that we are ready to die for our freedom. Know that our kingdom stands firm and strong. Expect a grand awakening. Thank you. This is the worst speech I've ever heard. She left the rostrum without getting much applause. Good, screw her. Then President Nunez spoke my name. They don't even have freedom. Literally, they don't even have freedom. Mr. Anton Rain, President of Sordland, I invite you to address the assembly. David immediately started applying. Good luck, Mr. President. I walked up to the rostrum and took my place at the podium. Last drink. All right, let's do this. In front of me were some of the most powerful leaders in the entire world. I looked them in the eyes. Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow delegates. Anybody who ascends this rostrum must appreciate what a significant gathering he is addressing. Just as the speakers who preceded me, Just as the speakers who preceded me, we too have our concerns to raise in this noble assembly. Our world is faced with the dangers of division, the dangers of large military alliances, and nuclear arms races. Today, we're confronted by a difficult choice. Our great achievements may either be used for the benefit or to the detriment of mankind. I'd like to address some of the topics mentioned here today. I condemn Smolak's crimes against the British people. Sordland stands together with the British people. I would like to address the Queen of Rumburg. Sordland always wanted to have peace between our nations, yet we are being threatened by Rumburg. We wanted to be diplomatic, even when Rumburg shut down our plane. I also have some evidence to show to the Assembly. Mr. Smolak was right about the KA-74s. Rumburg has been definitively arming the BFF in Sordland. There's another important piece of evidence that we have provided to us by someone close to the Rumburgian government. Mr. Hailstone was branded as a traitor in Rumburg for blowing the whistle on the country's hidden nuclear facilities. I hereby call on the Alliance of Nations to serve its duty. Rumburg and its nuclear facilities must be properly investigated. Thank you for listening to our concerns. I wish to see a resolution from the Alliance of Nations soon. The AN can no longer fail to recognize the machinations of the enemies of peace. There cannot be any more procrastination or delay. The AN must adopt decisions according to the wishes of the people of the world. Peace in Morcopa, peace in the world. Patricio Alvarez stood up and started applauding. Well spoken. I heard thunderous applause from half the assembly. Thank you. I left the podium. I walked back to my seat. Davy did not stop applauding until I sat down. How was it? Not a bad speech, Mr. President. You did well. Epic. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. President Nunez announced the next speaker, Dwight Walker. Now for the superpowers. Mr. President, I first want to congratulate you on your election to this high office. Mr. Secretary, delegates to the Alliance of Nations, ladies and gentlemen, fellow friends. We meet again on a request to bring peace and light into this world, but even though some of the clouds have lifted, the world has not yet escaped the darkness. The Continent Security Pact is rapidly expanding its influence. It is very troubling to see a democratic nation of Morcopa be invaded by those millennialist powers. I refer, of course, to Helheland's occupation by Vagsland. This is an attack against the lasting peace the world has enjoyed since the century of revolutions. Today, our peacekeeping obligations are being tested by United Contana and the millennialist bloc. If we fail to counter and stop this threat, if we stay idle and allow them to build new walls and weapons of hostility, if the attackers do not face any consequences, then this unstable peace we believed we had built would be the world's downfall, and posterity will point its finger at us for not stopping it. Admiral Hagel and other Vagslandian delegates started making noise again. This time, Hagel had taken his shoe off and was banging the table with it. I keep watching. Despite the noise Hagel made, President Walker continued his speech without pause. Despite its claims, the CSP's actions will only bring about war. We believe United Contana and Arcasia together with their allies could come to an understanding for our mutual benefit and our desire to avoid the destruction of the world. Yet United Contana keeps acting in complete disregard to international law. Their allies are forcefully taking land and imposing their own values on the people of those lands. I will say this to the leaders of United Contana. If either of us is to be secure, we need a peaceful cooperation, not nuclear missiles, shows of naval superiority, or invasions. If the leaders of United Contana fail to demilitarize Helheland with complete dismantling of the nuclear missiles and the withdrawal of the occupying Vagslandian forces, the ATO will have to take matters into our own hands. Hagel stood up with the shoe in his hand. What is that supposed to mean? You're promoting war in the Alliance of Nations? Mr. President, this cannot... Mr. Nunez slammed his gavel down and shouted, "Silence, please." Mr. Chancellor, please let me finish. We did not interrupt you when you addressed this assembly. I must also raise my concerns about the threat that Rumburg poses to eastern Morcopa. The speakers who preceded me clearly showed that tensions are rising. The reports from Velen and Sordland are troubling. The representatives from both countries referred to KA-74 as being smuggled within their borders. Mr. Rain also pointed out the construction of nuclear weaponry in Rumburg. Our intelligence also confirms this. Arcasia and the ATO will stand against the aggression of Rumburg. They are playing a dangerous game, one that may bring ruin to Mercopa and their own lands. I believe the Alliance of Nations can find a resolution to this conflict as well. If not, let it be known that Arcasia will stand together with Sordland. Rumburg cannot do as it pleases. It's great news. Hope he means it. This is definitely good news. Arcasia showing clear support for us. Finally, I propose that the Alliance of Nations undertake the noble cause of helping the people of the world through rewriting and properly enforcing its Human Rights Declaration. The Alliance of Nations cannot survive this as a static organization. Its size and duties are increasing enormously. It should adapt to the changing world. But peace and rights do not rest in the hands of this organization alone. They rely on the hearts of our people and the spirit of cooperation between our nations. So let it be known, my fellow inhabitants of this world, let us take our stand and see if we can finally achieve a lasting peace. Thank you. Most of the assembly applauded this speech, the ATO delegates in particular. Yeah, stand up and applaud. I stood up and applauded. The applause continued for some time. Walker shook hands with various delegates on the way back to his seat. President Nunez announced the last speaker before the break. It was Leon Milenyev. Hale didn't throw his shoe. Sad. Yeah, agreed. That would have been fun. Milenyev slowly started walking to the rostrum in his iconic suit. All of the CSP delegates stood up and applauded him. Honorable chairmen and fellow delegates to the Alliance of Nations. Here we are again, at the most esteemed meeting of state representatives in the world. However, increasingly, we are being threatened, disregarded, attacked, or ignored in this assembly. The representative of Arcasia has shown this unfriendly attitude towards us yet again. Arcasia would have you believe we are standing in the way of lasting peace. Yet the peace they talk about was only possible thanks to our missiles and our growing base in the developing world. The ATO kept waging wars against people's revolutions and forcing new independent states to be their puppets, binding them to themselves through the Arcasian lira. And now yet another Arcasian president is telling us that we are the aggressors and that they are the keepers of peace. We will not be silent anymore against these lies. When was this peace you talk about? When was this cooperation between our countries? Have you ever accepted our invitation to talk about denuclearization? If you don't like us, don't accept our deals, don't listen to our concerns, and keep pointing fingers at us. Why did you invite us to this Alliance of Nations? Every year, United Contana comes to this assembly to address the real problems of real people. People who suffer because of your systems, your wars, and your ignorance. Whether you like it or not, we'll keep representing the laborers, the slaves, and the oppressed of the world. And believe it or disregard it, history is on our side. We say to the representatives of capitalist countries, come and visit us. Come and see the revolution working in Contana. Show our continent to your people without distorting the reality. If you cannot do that, then you need not come. We believe socialism will triumph over capitalism in the end. Such is the logical conclusion of the development of humankind. This time, lesbian delegates started laughing very loudly. Some other delegates booed. Keep watching. You can keep laughing, gentlemen. Communism will bury you. Suddenly, the laughing turned to shouting. If you really believe in cooperation, we'll be waiting. We're not going anywhere. However, if the ATO keeps intervening in our matters, it is natural that the CSP would react. Despite threats from the ATO, Rumburg, or any other nation or organization, we must not succumb to further division and violence. We must ask ourselves, what do the people of our countries expect of us? They surely don't want war and bloodshed. So let us leave to our children and grandchildren good memories of our time and a better future for all. Let them look at history and say, once there were great divisions and complex problems, but the leaders of the world came together in the Alliance of Nations and succeeded in settling them in order to assure our peaceful lives. Let us act in such a way to make this session not a session of threats, but a session of hopes and the realization of them. The government of United Contana and the United People of Contana are ready to serve their duties for world peace. Long live the People's Revolution. Don't react. The assembly broke into massive applause. The applause continued for some time. Millenniev slowly walked back to his seat as the president announced a break. Even Hegel is better. He has less civil rights than Rumberg and political freedom. I'll put it this way. I think the speech itself, honestly, a very good speech. I think his speech was one of the best, in my opinion. I think it's just a very well-written, done speech. But as for having less civil rights than Rumberg and political freedoms, it's hard to say for certain because the game deliberately keeps it vague, and I think that's a very smart move on the point of the developers. So it's hard to say how much of Contana is a facade and how much of it is genuine, but I'll say this much. They definitely are repressive towards religious minorities and minority rights. That is absolutely certain. We can confirm that based on the reaction to things like the semi-autonomous zone. But compared to Rumberg, though, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's more repressive there. That is true, but it's not. But one political party is not the only thing to base, political freedom off of. You're right, and it is indicative. It can indicate a country having less political freedom, but political parties aren't the be-all and end-all. Rumberg is the constitution monarchy. Yeah. The applause continued for some time. Millenniev slowly walked back to his seat as the president announced a break. That was a lot. It definitely was. It's quite scary, to be honest. We need to be careful. We walked out of the hall to have some lunch and fresh air. That was very intense. I love that section, though. I think it's so phenomenally written. After this, a few ministers will resign. I expect that. ATO grants Agard observer status addressing the drug trade. Okay. ATO modernizes Sordland's Air Force. That's nice. Navy oversees import and export flow. Under the orders of the military, naval corps are being transferred from Conrad Naval Base to the port of Lakavan. Better oversee flow of imports and exports. Okay. Yeah. I didn't expect much here. With the election drawing near, our staff at the Maroon Palace have conducted general election polls all across Sordland. Our election polls show that roughly 16% of Solish citizens would vote for the USP in the upcoming election. CSP warns Grace against formation of anti-millennialist union. All right. Private meeting with David Vichy. Here we go. Missiles on Helheland. Lesbia shows evidence of Vaxlandian missiles in Helheland. Chancellor Hegel's disgrace at Alliance of Nations. Oh, they're taking a side here. That's interesting. Really? That's very interesting. They're actively taking a side on this one. Geopolitical is technically completely neutral. Private meeting with David Vichy. David had scheduled a private meeting with me, but he didn't specify what it was about. I heard a knock on the door. Mr. President, may I come in? Yes, David, please come in. Thank you. He slowly made his way towards the chair in front of my desk and sat down. First of all, thank you for your time. Anything for you, David. I wanted to ask how you were doing. Honestly, I'm tired, David. I'm tired of it all. Oh, I know the feeling. Trust me, I know. Sometimes you just want to throw away all the responsibility and escape. Perhaps into the wilderness. Perhaps to the sea. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But I could never do that. He took off his shoe. No amount of charm will get you out of that. Yeah. Unfortunately, men of power are bound by duty and their responsibility to the nation. He started coughing. What a privilege for me. I had the chance to watch my student grow into a fine and strong leader in my lifetime. What a privilege indeed. You tried your best to bring reform to Sordland. That is valiant in itself. It's okay to feel frustrated by failure, but change, unfortunately, doesn't happen easily. You paved a path for future generations to follow, and they will remember you for it. It wouldn't be possible without you. You were too kind, Mr. President. David coughed again, this time for longer. I overheard a conversation the other day near a newspaper stand. It piqued my interest, so I kept listening. They were talking about you. They were calling you a die-hard Democrat. What do you think about that? They weren't wrong. I am a die-hard Democrat. My father, Arthur S. Vichy, used to say, always know yourself. It's good to know that you do. So, the elections are fast approaching. How are you feeling about your chances? We will see. I wish there was an option to just say, like, there's nothing to do here. Uncertainty doesn't suit you, Mr. President. But I'm not uncertain. We're not going to win. I'm afraid I have an announcement to make to you. Go on. After the term is done, I will be retiring. For what reason? I have been in this line of work for many decades now. I swore an oath to myself years ago. I would quit if I ever felt like I didn't have the physical capability to serve anymore. At this point, I would become a hindrance. That time has come, Mr. President. My bones are aching. My hands are shaking. My voice is failing. Besides, I'm sure you can find a younger minister who's a little more full of life. He winked at me and chuckled, which turned into another cough. You have been a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Thank you for your service to this country. It was an honor, Mr. President. David stood up to leave. Hug him. We hugged. Before I go, I want to mention something. He looked around before grabbing my arm and lowering his voice. We are probably being watched, so I must be very brief. Be careful of the military. I think they are planning something. I have lived long enough to see 2 coups in my lifetime, and let's just say, have gotten better at recognizing the signs. You must remember what happened to my father, Anton. Just be careful and take care of your family. Take this as the last piece of advice from me. He suddenly raised his voice again. Best of luck, Anton. Thank you. He turned around and left. All right. Lewis Graf challenges Anton Rain. People's Front coming strong. Rumberg possesses nuclear weapons. Occasions strategic checks on CSP forces. Source foreign minister resigns. Vice President Vector shines during campaign. Our Vice President Peter Vector has been hosting massive rallies trying to sway both the conservative and reformist voters while trying to attract new undecided voters. Fortunately, the great charisma of the VP has led to many new voters to flock to the USP. The VP is shining while expanding the potential voter base. Existence of nuclear weapons in Rumberg confirmed. Alliance of Nations has ratified a barrage of sanctions against on Rumberg by the member states. Fantastic. USP Congress called. Now, ex-Interior Minister Lewis Graf challenging President Anton Rain. Congress has been called. Agnolia puts forward bid to join ATO. That could be good for us. World Revolution Manifesto, a revolutionary step. Minority poll results. The opinion polls on minority voter groups have been very positive, especially from the British citizens in our country. Thanks to our relaxed immigration law, their votes will have a larger impact on the election. Friday afternoon in the office. The door opened and Lucian entered. Mr. President, there's a problem. What kind of problem? Mr. Hull wants to speak with you. He is in the White Room. Please follow me. Do you know what it's about? I was just told to come get you, sir. I opened the doors and we entered the White Room. I looked around. Simon was sitting, playing with a pen in front of him. Good evening. Mr. President, I'm here to let you know I will be handing you my resignation shortly. Your resignation? What's the meaning of this? Exactly what it looks like. I'm resigning from my position in the cabinet. I simply cannot go on anymore. Talk to me. What can I do? How can I help you better? I'm sorry, but I've already made my decision, and I won't turn back from it. I suppose I owe you my reasons. I have failed my mission as the Minister of Economy. During our term, instead of stopping the recession, we have made it even worse and entered a sourish depression. I blame myself for this. I couldn't offer you better solutions. I have proven that I am unfit to serve as the Minister of Economy in Sordland. I will resign at the end of our term. Please don't do this, Simon. I am to blame, not you. I'm afraid things are already in motion, Mr. President. I took a deep breath. I looked at Simon Determined's face. I have no choice but to accept your resignation. Simon and Lucian left, and I took a seat alone in the White Room. Let me guess. Future of Rain's cabinet. Yep. Well, none of them seem pissed. I'll say that much. Except Lilius. Lilius is definitely pissed. Yosef is definitely pissed. David and Simon, though, is just a case of like, well, David's old, and, you know, Simon has a fair reason. It was the day of the United Sordland Party Congress. For the third time in the party and Sordland's history, a candidate was challenging the an incumbent president. Serge was driving me to the Grand National Assembly for the historic event. I looked out the window as we passed through the small forest, dividing the Maroon Palace and the Assembly. I thought about the day I announced my candidacy against Evald Alfonso while he was still president. Then I remembered how just a few years before that, Evald had challenged Harkin's soul. How are you feeling back there, sir? I'm worried about today. I'm sure you're going to win again, sir. No need for undue stress. Serge is sweet. Serge made a left turn out of the forest and entered the vast garden area of the Assembly. I still don't believe how Miss Graff could run against you. She owed her position to you. It doesn't matter, Serge. She can do as she pleases. Of course, sir. It's not like she has a chance against you. He's very sweet. He parked the car in front of the gate that led to the USP's wing of the Assembly. Good luck, Mr. President. See you on the way back. Thank you, Serge. I entered the building and joined the crowd of influential politicians, lobbyists, and benefactors who had gathered for this turning point. It was almost time for the debate. The crowd dispersed, and the members of the USP went inside the Congress Hall. United Sordland banners hung from every possible spot. I tried to mentally prepare for my speech, but the lingering memories from the first two leadership races were making it hard for me to focus. Suddenly, Peter approached me from behind and put his hand on my shoulder. My man's here. Come on, let's get this vote over with. I can't shake the thought of losing today. Oh, don't say that. Lilith is no match for you. You've got this. She's gonna win. You're gonna win in a landslide. She is going to win. Wish I could be that optimistic. As if on cue, Lilius strode past me into the hall, accompanied by a large group of her supporters. Instead of her usual beige, she wore a sun-yellow skirt and blazer. What if you feed from Sordland and Lilius wins? Maybe the military might accidentally coup Lilius. I'm thinking of doing that, frankly. That's what I had in mind. Because if Lilius takes control, that's going to be the conservative bloc split between the NFP and the USP. And my hope is that the PFJP will basically just sweep the election. And maybe some more, maybe the United People's Front. Million IQ, yeah. Maybe the People's Front will actually get some seats as well. That's my hope, honestly. I think Lilius winning... Actually, I don't know. I don't know who's more of a detriment to the USP, me or Lilius. But I guess we'll see. Gloria Tori was on her right. Yosef was on her left. I tried to ignore them as I entered the hall. Peter and I took our seats and waited for the session to begin. Look, it's starting. He pointed at the podium. Lucian was there. He was about to introduce the candidates. Ladies and gentlemen. The hall fell silent. Yeah, no, they're not voting me. No shot. But I think Lilius will actually hurt them more than help them. The hall fell silent when he started speaking. We gather here today for the 28th Congress of the United Sordland Party for the third leadership race in its history. On the occasion of my 20th year in this party, I am honored to be opening this historic session today. The members of the USP will soon be voting on whether President Rain or Lilius Graff shall assume leadership going forward. Before we begin the selection process, I would like to invite both candidates to give very short speeches. First, I would like to invite Anton Rain, the fourth president of Sordland and the chairman of our party. I stood up and walked up to the podium amid applause and campaign music. I shook his hand before I began addressing the assembly. Fellow members of the USP. I did my best in order to make Sordland a better place. I took office to bring reform to this country. But Lilius Graf and the old guard stood in our way. I took a deep breath. But I'm here to do more, to bring meaningful change. Help me continue our fight to make this country great. It's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. Yeah. This is not the time for division. Do not fall to Miss Graf's lies. She betrayed our trust by leaving a very important office. Miss Graf is a puppet of Tarkin's soul and the old guard, nothing else. I know you will do the right thing. I'm Morgna Wes Core. The campaign music started blaring again as I left the podium. So this was not a strong speech, and frankly, I did not intend it to be at all. We've lost. It's over. It is over. Usually I would have, tried to pick the best options, but frankly, I am admitting defeat here. I'm not pretending otherwise. I'm just trying to, point out the truth. Lucian shook my hand, and I walked back to my seat to the sound of loud applause. Huh. I didn't expect any applause. You did well. You had them in the palm of your hand. Lucian spoke from the podium again. Thank you for your speech, Mr. President. Now I'd like to invite the next candidate to the stage. She is one of the most experienced and respected members of this party. We all know her from her accomplishments in archery and Holzord. Let's welcome the former Minister of the Interior of Sordland, Lilius Graf. Liz walked up to the podium, accompanied by an old nationalist song about the Swedish Civil War. Aletta Inta Nurendi. Nochi. The light in the darkness. Her eyes had a fire in them that I had never seen before. Fellow compatriots, it is an honor to be a candidate for the leadership of our great United Sordland Party. She pulled out a handkerchief and dabbed at her eyes. Forgive me, this beautiful song always fills me with emotion. My opponent might call that a weakness. I consider it a strength. Shut up. It brings me hope to see all the energy in this Congress Hall today. But hope alone does not suffice. I don't want to listen to songs any longer. I want us to sing them from the rooftops. What was it that you want, sons and daughters of Sordland? I'll tell you right now. You want a president who will stand bravely against the wealthy elites in their mansions, rather than kowtow to their every man. You piece of shit! You are a wealthy elite in a mansion. You want a Sordland that protects its own, rather than letting in foreigners who have no respect for our culture. Jesus, you're a piece of shit. You want a strong and united Sordland. And I'm here to tell you that none of those things are possible as long as Anton Rain is in office. As those who rule the state become more and more alienated from the values that make us who we are, and the deplorables who stand silent against this sink us deeper into a quagmire of moral and cultural corruption. This is explicitly fascistic language. She's sounding like the NFP. He took this party away from its roots with no regard to our core values. He took his own wife away from her rightful place at home and forced her into politics in the names of women's liberation. You're a woman in politics. He even worked with the enemies of the state to legitimize their secessionist aspirations, tearing our beloved Berja off from Sordland and turning it into a semi-independent region for the Bloods. And he did all of that without even managing to fix the recession. She's not wrong about that last one. Sordish people are still suffering. He is a disgrace to the name of Tarkin's soul. We cannot allow him to taint the accomplishments of this party any further. No comment. Don't worry, let her say what she wants. The result won't change. After nearly 4 years of the president behaving abominably against all my advice, I had no choice but to tender my resignation. For I believed we could achieve much more, for I still believed in the idea of a united Sordland. I appealed to your innate sense of honor and dignity as Sordish people. Microwave Seasons froze Sordland and did not... Broca, congratulations. Yeah, no, this was cooked. I screwed this. Elect me as your leader, and I promise with the Lord on my side, I shall elevate this party and this glorious nation to the heavens. 20 views on the stream, though. That's a first. Thank you all so much. That's incredible. Mr. Rain, your time leading this country is through. I'm here to bring down the walls you built. Thank you. I'm Morgna Wes Core. I'm not plotting this. The voting began. I filled out my ballot, marking X next to my own name, and lined it up to drop it in the ballot box. After all the votes were cast, we sat back down and waited for the announcement. After some time, Lucian appeared on stage again. Thank you, everybody, for voting today. The results are ready. After counting every vote, we have come to a conclusion. The winner of today's leadership vote is determined to be Lilias Graf. The hall reverberated with thunderous applause. I congratulate our new leader and our candidate for president. I couldn't believe it. For a moment, my sight darkened. All I heard was shouting, Lilias, Lilias. I couldn't focus. Everything became a blur. Are you okay, Anton? I'm fine. I sank down in my seat and sighed deeply. I think after this loss, I must resign from politics entirely. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. I'm not sarcastic. I'll resign when my term ends. Oh, you really want to retire? Announce that you'll retire from politics at the end of the term. I stood up and walked to the rostrum to make the announcement. I took a deep breath. Members of the USP, let me be honest with you. The truth is, I failed you. My political opponents blocked me at every turn. By trying to compromise with them, I compromised your trust. At the end of my term, I'll be leaving politics to try and change the system from the outside. As for my successor, ooh. Here's the thing. I'm kind of toxic here. Nobody likes me. Nobody's supporting me. I don't have any supporters. So if I say campaign for the PFJP, that might hurt them more than help them. Fuck it, I'm gonna be honest and just say I'd rather the PFJP win the presidency than a traitor. Because again, the only reason I'm considering this is because I'm a liability rather than a help. NFP. Yeah, I mean, I'd hope to hurt them, but I don't want them to win. Okay, I'm actually going to say People's Front because I actually have a lot of support there. They might actually be cool with me. I don't think my support for them will taint them necessarily because I did do a lot of work for them. I urge you to vote for the People's Front Coalition, not Lilias. It's been an honor to serve you. That was it. There was no turning back. My presidency was nearly over. This was the beginning of the end. Rain resigns. Is a sore loser. Yeah, whatever, fuckers. This graph steals vote at USP Congress. Rain announces retirement. Circumstances of Rain's loss bear striking evidence surrounding his predecessor. Rain decided to step away. While the specific details of retirement plans remain undisclosed. Lame duck Rain endorses People's Front. In a shocking about face that after his sound defeat at the USP Congress, Anton Rain announced his retirement, so throwing his weight behind the new People's Front coalition. Anyone who prevent soulless figurehead from seizing control of the source government has got our vote. But this smacks of petty vengeance on Rain's part. There's no telling whether he really aligns with the values of either the WPP or CSP, or whether he's just trying to sabotage Miss Graff on the way out. Well, I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to support them and sabotage them. Second Alfonso is you. Yeah, I screwed up. Dinner at home. With the election looming, I'd practically been sleeping at the Maroon Palace lately, but tonight I made a deliberate effort to go home early. Frank was coming to dinner for the first time in months. I told everyone I wanted a family supper, just like in the old days. Monica had promised to cook something special. The usual crowd of protesters was waiting out for me outside the complex. The guards formed a cordon to let me through. Don't look at them. Go to my door. Once inside, I locked the front door behind me. I hurried past them, went inside, and locked the front door behind me. Footsteps coming my way. Hi, Papa. Hug her. I opened my arms to embrace my daughter. She hugged me back happily. How was school today? Diana shrugged. I won a prize at the science fair. Honestly, I think they were teaching girls different stuff before because they knew we were smarter than boys. You might just be right. Diana smiled and pointed to the kitchen. Mama's in there. I've got some homework to do before dinner. I followed her with my eyes as she went upstairs. She was starting to look more and more like her mother. I stepped into the kitchen. Monica was stirring a pot on the stove, her back turned to me. Smells delicious. She rolled around in surprise. When she realized it was me, she smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. Sorry, Anton. I guess I've been on edge lately. Why don't you go fix yourself a drink in the living room? I'll let you know when dinner's ready. I sat down in the living room, poured myself a bit of whiskey, and flipped through one of Monica's women's magazines. Suddenly, Frank burst through the door. Sorry I'm late. I ran into a couple of my friends protesting outside. It was pretty awkward telling them I was having dinner with you. He flung his backpack in a corner and sprawled out in a chair. Could have invited them in. There's enough food. Ha, even if they would cross the picket line, they're vegetarians. Diana came running down the stairs. Frank! Frank! Hi, Pipsqueak. The two of them ignored me for a moment and started chatting away about their schools. Monica appeared in the doorway and smiled warmly at the sight of the three of us. Dinner's ready. The three of us gathered around the dining room table. Monica ladled out bowls full of sabla. The stew tasted as good as it smelled. Now that we're all here, I wanted to say something. I know the past 4 years have been hard on all of us. I'm so grateful to all of you for supporting me through it. We deserve some time off together as a family. But right now, there's no time. We need to get out of Sordland. All of us. Monica, Diana, and Frank turned to me at shock. Anton, when the ever-loving hell? I never thought I would be a pariah. Diana scratched her head. What's a pariah? It's an outcastee, like what I am since Anton Rain became the enemy of Holzord's state. Frank gave me a pointed look. Diana still looked uncertain. I don't know about this, Anton. I still have so much to do for women's rights. I know, and you'll be able to come back to that, but we need to lay low for a while. You might be right. Papa, where are we going? I thought for a moment. Kairut, the only truly neutral country I knew of, seemed like the obvious choice. The little house in the mountains wouldn't cost much. I feel like it would make more sense to go to Arcasia, to be honest. Or Lesbia. Do I really have no other option? Yeah, it's safer in Kairut. Kairut, it's going to be an adventure. What about school? What about my friends? You'll make lots of new friends, and Kairut's school system is a lot better than Sordland's anyway. This is crazy, Mom. This is crazy. Mom, Dad, you do what you want, but I'm staying put. No, we don't have time to. There's no tracks to cover. We don't have time. We need to leave. So be it. Monica, Diana, we leave tomorrow morning. Let's get packing. Monica's face paled. She nodded silently. Cool. We're going on an adventure. I'll come visit once you're settled. Let's finish dinner, at least. All right. We ate in tense silence. I could tell Monica, Frank, and Diana were all deep in thought. When we were done, Frank took a cab back to Holzard Estate, and Monica and Diana and I rushed up to our rooms. We had a lot of packing to do. Hope is not lost. In today's Communist Party rally, the CPS leader Dennis Staller made a speech to the largest crowd he had ever assembled. Tens of thousands came together in Valgan to give their support to CPS leadership. In his speech, they may have censored us from the press, bullied us on the streets, took our votes away from us, but hope is not lost. They may have arrested us, tortured us, and killed us, but they could never silence us. This year, CPS will form the government, and I will transform this nation, said Staller. ATO declares World Liberation Manifesto. All right. Sometime later. Oh. I thought we'd be in Kairut. All right, what have we got? Escape from Holzard. Residence of the President of Sordland, Holzard. Just one day after deciding to leave the country, I pulled out of the driveway in the Randolphini sports car Marcel had given me. Monica and Diana were with me. We'd all packed just one suitcase. I told the guards we were going to visit Monica's parents for the weekend. Papa, I forgot Mr. Bunny Bun. All right, let's go back and get him. Monica put a hand on my arm. We don't have time, honey. Our ship leaves from Benfey Port in a few hours. I kept driving. After an hour or so of silence, Monica switched on the radio. I wasn't paying attention until I heard the words Anton Rain. Lilius was giving a campaign speech, promising to fix all the mistakes I made. I'd like to see her try. She won't last a month. I pressed my foot to the gas pedal. After what seemed like forever, I passed the Benfey city limits. The port was in sight. Suddenly I heard a siren blaring from behind me. Shit! If they catch me, they catch me. Fuck it. I floored it, only to see the road ahead of me was blocked. Fuck! With a reluctant sigh, I pulled the car over. A policeman tapped on the window. I rolled it down. Sorry, sir, just a routine checkpoint. Wait a minute. Are you? Say nothing. I'm going to need to see your identification. Hand over my passport. He took a brief look at my passport. Please step out of the vehicle, sir. I slowly began to open the car door. I was right. You're Anton Rain. Listen, I'm not supposed to let anyone through here, but I voted for you back in '53. I still think you're a great man. Thanks. That means a lot. Good luck on the path, Mr. Rain. I didn't see anything. He smiled and went back to his car and drove off. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once the police were out of my sights, I breathed a sigh of relief. Oh my God. Thank God. I had a hard time suppressing a smile as I drove off towards the city. At last, there it was, the port of Benfey. The ship to Kairut was already docked. Monica, Diana, and I grabbed our belongings and left the car in the lot. I presented the ticket officer with the passes I'd booked under a fake name. After looking them over very closely, he led us on board. Go to the back of the ship. I made my way to the back of the ship. My family and I stood there as we left harbor, watching Sordland recede into the distance. Morgna Wes Core. Vecten Sista. Monica and I looked at each other. My wife had tears in her eyes. Let's go to the front. We walked to the ship's bow. A strong sea breeze was blowing. An impossibly wide expanse of water stretched out before me. I closed my eyes, listening to the roar of the waves and the cries of seagulls. The boat journey to Kairut took over a week. You spent most of it making plans with your family. At long last, you reached the other side, and disembarked in the city of Constantium. You regretted that you hadn't transferred your savings to an overseas account. I didn't have any savings. You and Monica pulled together what little cash you brought. You had enough to afford a modest apartment on the edge of the city. For the next few months, you followed the news from Sordland closely. Peter struggled to keep the country together in your absence. You felt worried for him. When it came time for the election, the new People's Front Party easily won on their promise to return power to the masses. The new People's Front Party easily won on their promise to return. Wow! Wait, they won? Holy shit! I can't believe they won! That's amazing! Wow! I had absolutely no idea they would have won that. That's the rarest ending. Huh. Holy shit. Wow. I guess... How'd they lose to the PFJP? Oh my god, the votes must have gotten split. Holy shit, the votes must have been completely split up. Fuck it. It was all worth it. This is a success. I'm proud of you, Gray. Thank you, Zargos. I'm proud of this too. I think this was a success. Honestly, I was worried the National Front would win or the USP would win. My hope was that the PFJP would win, but I guess the votes got so split up that the People's Front won. I'm okay with that. I'm very happy with that. Wait, I know why! Oh my god, I know why! The oligarchs weren't involved. The oligarchs weren't able to fund anyone, and they weren't able to disrupt the communists. The NFP were screwed because they were splitting votes with the USP, who had just gotten staunchly conservative. The PFJP were pretty much in shambles since, like, I supported some of their policies. But the oligarchs were completely dismantled. Marcel was arrested, Tusk was arrested. Yeah, I guess that actually does make sense. And they joined together alongside with the Communist Party of Sordland to basically, fix everything. Because, market liberalization theoretically didn't work, according to the people, because I screwed it up. So the coalition actually won. Oh my god, it's amazing. Eventually, you lost interest in the travails of the new administration. Years went by. Over time, you and your family assimilated further into life in Kairut. You joined the Constantium City Council. Diana excelled at her new school and eventually landed a prestigious internship at the Alliance of Nations. One day you received a postcard from Frank saying that you were now a grandfather. He named his son after you. One day, on one of your rare trips into the city, you ran into Tomas Sacker, television host who had interviewed you. While catching up over drinks, he proposed co-authoring a tell-all book about your presidency. You agreed with gusto. Together, you and Tomas captured every detail of your time in office, the political maneuvering, the corruption, the toll it took on your family life. You spared no one, least of all yourself. The book titled Suzerain was an instant bestseller. You were lauded for your unflinching honesty. Your fame aided Diana immensely in her political career. The Rains became one of Kairut's most powerful families. You lived out the rest of your life in luxury, surrounded by family and newfound friends. You never returned to Sordland. Communist Party is the most hardest how? I have no idea. Between 1954 and 1958, 1.6 million people lost their jobs. 81% fewer maternal and infant deaths were reported. 1,278 people were arrested for their ties to organized crime. 15,440 people were arrested for their suspected ties to young swords. over 100,000 conscripts joined the workforce. More than almost 16,000 people with British descent were released from prison. Investigations were launched on 48 businessmen. 1,340 women won a domestic violence case at the courts, and 403,000 girls were enrolled at secondary school education for the first time. 81,340 companies declared bankruptcy. 2,300 state employees lost their jobs, while 3 oligarchs obtained 10% of the storage economy. 1,143 news articles were altered. History will remember you as a centrist reformist. End. Well, thank you all so much for watching this series. This has been the most fun thing I have ever done, and this was amazing. If you'll allow me to be sappy for a second, I started this channel about 2 months ago after I discovered this game. Immediately after discovering this game, I absolutely fell in love with it. It was the first game that I ever truly felt like I had choices and a truly real world with which I could put my knowledge of politics into, because I'm interested in politics. It's a big part of my life. I care about it a lot. And this game is phenomenal. Nothing but appreciation, nothing but respect, nothing but love to the writers of this game. Torpor Games, you are absolutely incredible. Thank you for making such a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece. I have absolutely enjoyed playing this. I've absolutely enjoyed streaming it. I've come to realize over time that the only way you can live a life that you're happy with is by being sincere. And this stream was a sincere expression of both my love for this game, my interest in politics, and who I am as a person. And I'm grateful that this game made it possible. So, to everybody who's watched the stream, to everybody who's supported me, everyone who's talked to me in the Discord, thank you all so, so, so much. And thank you to Your Childhood and Zargos for being here. It was a beautiful fire to watch. I agree. I should be disappointed by this ending, but honestly, I'm very, very happy with it. It wasn't a perfect game. I never wanted it to be a perfect game. I could easily have just put up a guide and, followed it and tried to do all the things I want. But where's the fun in that? I tried my best. I failed in some ways. I succeeded in many others, but I failed in a lot of ways. But, hey, where else are you going to get the most authentic Suzerain content? No guides, no nothing. This is my best attempt, and it failed miserably. But hey, I'm very, very proud. I'm very happy that this series went the way it did. I don't regret anything. I will definitely be playing more Suzerain. No question about that. I absolutely adore this game. But next week will be me playing the Kingdom of Rija for the very, very first time on stream. I'm so excited to do it. Thank you all so, so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and left a like and a comment. It really, really means a lot to me. I really hope to see you all next week, especially you, Your Childhood, and Zargos. Thank you all for being here on this grand finale stream. Kingdom of Rija, next week Friday. Or maybe Sunday. I might adjust my streaming schedule, but next week for sure. Thank you all so, so, so much for watching. Thank you for being here. It really means the world to me. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Bye.